Greetings, greetings.
All right. So I want to say welcome to one and all. Far right here getting having some technical difficulties. We are trying to figure out this live vibe. But I want to say welcome to one and all Ball Head and the Dread live stream special edition here with the Jazz Mach Kwasi will be here speaking about the Bob Marley movie, the One Love movie. I've been waiting for my whole life. Finally got to see, and everyone's definitely talking about it. Um, so we had a reading Ross here, right? And the first the first thing I want to touch on, right, was just what was your response to the movie when you first saw it?
Well, first and foremost, let me just greet the Ballad and the Dread family in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Say glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen Empress Menen. This is my second time on the platform, so I have to have some manners. In terms of the how I really saw the film, the first impression, honestly, I took my family. I had my children with me, my two teenage children. So my first impression was positive because I saw that they were pleased with the film, and I had a reasoning with them about what they got, what they learned. So my first impression was positive, about the film. Being a creative myself, being an entertainment attorney, knowing what it takes to put together these type of projects, I also had to congratulate Ziggy Marley, the whole entire Marley family. It was a monumental production in terms of the visuals. You could see that people really, there was a lot of love that was put into the production. You could see the actors had a certain level of reverence to what they were doing. I saw enough brethren that I know personally from Jamaica in the film, so that was a joy for I, seeing brethren that I know who are active down there, getting roles and things, history as well. So, first impression was positive.
Serious thing, same on my side. I've been waiting for this movie my whole life. So it was a joy just to see the gang on the big screen, as well as seeing people that on the big screen as well. Respect to the great Hector Lewis, the
Yes,
super talent there. Was definitely glad to see him. Everaldo, um, Shepard, same way. An ex Berger there that's very talented, right? I'm gonna get right into the thing. So we- we're not gonna waste no time. I want to get right into this thing, right? And
yes,
one of the issues a lot of people have been talking about with this movie is the context.
yes,
I hear a lot of critique about the plot, the context. I want to deal with the context, the historical context.
yes, I,
One of the figures I really want to touch on is the great Coxsone Dodd because when they presented Cox and Dodd, and I want to say this when we're talking about context in Malcolm X, right? When they presented Brother Baines, they actually made him a fictional character, but they fused realistic characters in Brother Baines. Now I don't know if that's what they were trying to do with this movie, or because they did mention Cox and Dodd. You get what I'm
yes,
saying? So if you mention Cox and Dodd, I think the proper context is one to fire. What you saying is one to show uh the brilliance of Cox and Dodd. How he there's I want to be clear. There's no reggae music without Studio One, without Cox and Dodd. He's a pivotal person in history, right? Some will refer to him as the Jamaican Barry Gordy. When they presented Cox and Dodd in the scene, he comes out with a gun. He seems very aggressive, kind of greedy. They don't present him as the musical genius that he was. He wasn't a person that knew instruments, but he had brilliant ears. Bob Marley lived with Cox and Dodd. You get what I'm saying? So even
mm,
if they may have had a little money vibe at some point, but Cox and Dodd not only employed Bob Marley as a musician, but also as like a talent kind of scout, kind of coach for new talent. And Bob lived at Studio One. And he was like kind of a father. I'm not saying he's the full father figure like a Mortimer Plano, but he was like a father figure to Cox and Dodd. You know, and I think when people keep complaining about the context, they don't understand the context they're missing. But we're just trying to give you the background history of what's going
Definitely,
on.
definitely.
Um,
And that, if I can just jump in there, um, it's one thing if they had a balanced portrayal of Cox and Dodd, because there are oral traditions that say he was rough,
yeah.
and him deal with him thing. But in terms of that, from what I've seen online and what I know, that was not historically accurate. So if you're gonna put that in the film, at least balance and show the good side, and in terms of the sacrifices that he made for the young talent, just have a balanced portrayal. We don't know what they shot and what got edited out. This is what happens as a creative when you sell your rights to a big studio. The studio ultimately has the final cut of the film, so we don't know what was shot. There was probably more footage because even when he was a young teenager and Rita came and checked him, that was when he was with Cox and Dodd. You know what I mean? When he was living in his one little room in the forward of the studio, to my knowledge. But we don't, the final cut of the movie did not have that balance. And I agree with the idea that it's very unfair to the legacy of one of the great, in reggae music.
and we're gonna deal with the music before we get to the Rastafari ancient, right? I want to touch on Lee Scratch Perry too, Alvarado. I'm not sure if he was even acting because that's kind of spirit, he had that type of energy. But Lee Scratch Perry was in the movie. They presented him uh, as an assistant, the role he played at the studio during the time he was at Studio One. Now, Lee Scratch Perry is another pivotal figure because, all right, I'm jumping the gun. I have to do Austin Family Man before I do Lee Scratch Perry so I can bring it in. For those unaware, Austin Family Man is one of the greatest bass players of all time. He was also Bob Marley's bass player. He was with the Hippie Boys with Lee Scratch Perry and Bunny Lee. The story I understand is this. Bob kind of was turned off with Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh for a period. Peter Tosh was a session musician at Duke Reed at Treasure Isle. He knows Lee Scratch Perry from Studio One, and they know each other, but they weren't recording with each other. Austin Family Man brought Bob Marley to record with Lee Scratch Perry, so he's the one that kind of brought that relationship together. Lee Scratch Perry encouraged Bob Marley not to record as a solo artist, but to link up again as a group with Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh. More than anything, and you know this, historically they said some of the greatest work Bob Marley ever did was with Lee Scratch Perry. That's when the voice changed. Because before you sound like the Bergen from Wailing Souls, kind of high pitch, and then
Mm.
get more of that kind of vibe to it. So we can argue in regards to would Bob Marley reach the heights he reached in his career without working with Lee Scratch Perry. And those songs they redid on Burning and Catch a Fire album are originally tunes done with Lee Scratch Perry. Some of them, not all of them. So that's another person we have to highlight and kind of give that heights to. I want to jump back to the Austin Family Man Barrett because Fire this man one of the greatest bass players of all time. And them bass lick for the gong. Sorry, he just had his man in the background just talking with regular lines. They did all these kind of throwback moments, and they should have thrown back to acknowledge this man's greatness and also show more his contribution to the development of the music.
Definitely, definitely. I want to hear from Atarchi because I know say whole heap of insights. There.
That am I right here?
Yes,
No,
I.
you go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, man. So must say I will have different insights I give towards the movie still, but when me really think about it, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, and sometimes because we have a somewhat of a sadistic criticism culture where we normally think about negative before we think about positive. And then we take out the small things them and we miss the overall picture, the bigger picture. And then it have where a fuss and a fight for 5 to 10 to 15 years. And that in the whole aspect now really make no sense. My perspective of the movie is that I've never ever in my life, ever before I start Sight Rastafari, when I start Rastafari up to current, never seen Rastafari being portrayed and the big screens in this manner before. Never. Them you see the Bingy Jung, yeah, hear Rastafari, yeah, say Haile Selassie, a man I look for your father. Him never find no gang, him never find no crips, him never find no blood. Him go side at Rastafari, and I'm father that we really are seek to fulfill a message way beyond this world. So yeah, we have many different storytellers out there, because everybody's a storyteller. Because everybody have that particular art and that particular creative instinct within them. And they would like to see stories be told this way. Even The Matrix, which is one of the greatest movies of all time, have things that we never like and things that we still a question. But we get the bigger picture of what The Matrix is. Because we live in it every day, we can always tell about the different, the pros and the cons of every single thing. But this movie, in the broader aspect of things, it really sum up Black African consciousness. A man want to forget Africa straight through. I might tell you, yeah, me hear the European date, that does money. Yeah, me hear that. But what I want for Africa until I can see at the end of the even screen, a man, them straight say a man go liberate Zimbabwe and spend more money for do that. You know how much? At least what eyes from that theater thing is. At least 1,000 youths. At least 1,000 youths. I go see this movie and sight up Rastafari and millions more. I got intrigued for understand what is this Rastafari that Bob Marley was so into, and this is the inspiration we will support. And Marcus Garvey and Haile Selassie's picture come together for one screen in a movie. And I see them thing they regular, and them thing they me really pinpoint and glad for go see that. And I don't care if a man want to tell me say go to the next extent of the finance, what funded the movie or whatnot. Yeah, because at certain time you have certain ventures. You have to know how to move through, and you have a time to be diplomatic, and you have a time where you have to be all out revolutionary, which is when you have that finance within the structure. If you own your own land, then you can build your own school with whatever thing. So overall, when I think about the movie and see the movie, that is where me get for the bigger picture. But when we're going to some look at intricacies of certain things that me or them I talk about the Coxon thing. It's just about representation, which we understand the representation, but we're not gonna try to get stuck in the criticism part of the whole thing. We're gonna talk about the bigger picture, then we highlight some things from our perspective where we not necessarily 100% agree with, just as any other movie were portrayed by anybody else. That is a standard thing. We know that's a conversation. So that is where me really think about the movie, you know?
Yeah, I wanna kind of jump ahead far. I think he was looking for you to talk about the Austin Family Man thing. We was going to jump ahead to that.
The Family Man in particular.
We trying to finish up.
Me personally, when I personally agree with that still in the fire. Because me I said this is a Bob Marley story. And you have Austin Family Man, the man's son come fulfill that. I even look good in my eyes, and I say, wait, a family man that for sure. I mean, I feel look good as if I'm son. And she say it's a family tradition that comes same way where the Marleys can connect back with family man youth and fulfill some works. And that is something very, very beautiful. So I feel like I can try to boost up and make a man even more. Family man was always there, gang through England, through Jamaica, everywhere. So it don't show the respect and love. So I don't see that as an issue to me.
Yeah, I think that it's not the fact that it's an issue. I think that more could have been done to highlight certain people, because when you have those type of movies at this type of magnitude, I think it's more responsible to kind of give a better context of the different ingredients that went into the gong. Because the presentation I got was just more a reader vibe in a sense, you know, how it's presented.
One of the most complex man in history this we are talking about, you know. So we have to understand, say we can't, and it's a Titanic we are looking for. 1 hour 47 minutes can't really show too much.
No, I don't think so, because I just think that, like, even I don't want to jump into it, but since you brought it up, right, you're dealing with the narration. Now, yes, Rastafari was presented, but the people I spoke to didn't even know it was Rastafari at the end, because they didn't do a good job of clearly stating and presenting, like, Emperor Haile Selassie, giving some that's what I go back to this context thing. Because I thought, well, me looking at it, right, I thought it was very powerful, because it kind of shows that inadequacy a lot of men have when they don't have that father figure. You can have a father and still don't have that father figure, and you still feel that. And I'm pretty sure they were trying to highlight that with the gong. But at the end, my wife, she ain't know what was going on, you know what I'm saying, because it wasn't clear. Yeah. Now, we probably catch it and see the power in it, but the regular viewer, that's why we say certain things need to be done better to really capture what you said in regards to getting that message across, you know.
I have a solution for that still, and solution for the part is still, you know, because that is when we feel like the creativity is not something we stop, or it's not a stagnant process where we have to understand series can come off of this thing like series come off a movie before. But this is an introductory thing. Remember we talked about Tough Gang with band 1945 and the movie surrounded by 76. building up to One Love and One Love concert, you know. So it's just a stage the man them take. That's why some of the criticism them where the people are talk, but I figure say them is an ignorant criticism because at that particular time in life, certain man with them must left out and thing. They never really they run a tough gang at that time, and this is just one thing. So whereas other stories where can literally come off fight, and I feel like that there's a people have to understand how the mission stay, or what is this. Every movie is centered or the movie centered around an event. It's not like our extreme tough gang life. Just an event is centered around and how that spiral and build and break the tough gang and make him start think about different things and look upon life from a different perspective. So yeah,
that was my biggest challenge with the film, you know, from a storytelling perspective, from a narrative perspective. They did not do enough to establish Rastafari. Because remember, the message of Bob Marley was Rastafari. There was no other message. We have thousands of people talk about peace and love. That don't make it special or, you know, unique that Bob Marley came with. The message was Rastafari. And I saw the director, the first thing that Bob Marley utters is, you know, Haile Selassie, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, earth right for rule. That's the first thing he said at the press conference. I'm here to bring the message of Haile Selassie, boom, boom, boom. And then they ended with him saying, greetings in the divine name of his imperial majesty at the concert. So the whole, I can tell that the director wanted to put forward, but they did not do, and this is this from a storytelling perspective, they did not establish who is Haile Selassie? Why is Bob looking at Haile Selassie as a father figure? You know what I mean? They didn't, they showed him reading the book, yes, but they didn't go into, so as the brethren say, at the end of the movie, a lot of people didn't know who was this person on the horse because they didn't establish. You know, they could have showed some file footage of him and young Rita looking at some file footage of His Majesty and him ask, you know, so why is this man, you know, XYZ or him and Martimo looking at some file footage, and they could have went into more of who is Haile Selassie the first, and that would have made the war speech more impactful because they had several Haile Selassie the chapel. They were giving us the crumbs, you know, through the film, but they didn't do the work to establish why these emotional beats should penetrate, and that was my biggest challenge. That's why I have to give the movie a 6.5.
No, I'm not going to. Hold on for it.
Even though it's positive.
Hold on for it, right?
Yeah.
We brought up Rastafari, but we got to talk about Kumi Mortimer, right?
Yes,
Now, I was pleased to see that they had Mortimer in many different scenes. And he said a lot of things, specifically one thing that kind of they highlighted his sage ability. When the guy got shot, he said, man, I never believed I would get shot in Jamaica. But Mortimer said, it's not really the fact that you got shot, it's the fact that you didn't die, to kind of show the heights he was on. But they never explained who Mortimer was. And this is a key figure. So you have this person interacting with the person. I know where far I'm going to go with this. You have this person interacting with this person, right? But you never explain what this person is. And I feel that if you just did a better job of explaining, this would lead to further research. Because right now, if a man see Mortimer, he just figure he's just a random Ross. But if you mention who Mortimer is, it would encourage people to look even deeper and learn even more, those who are interested. I think that's what I wanted to say in regards to the context. If you give a little more, those who are interested, it will help them learn more compared to you just see random people. You just see Joe Higgs. I just see Coxon come out with a gun. I just see this person. And they don't understand. Out of all people, I think they really dropped the ball with Mortimer. But we give thanks Mortimer was in the movie. And he had pivotal roles and he said some very pivotal things. But they never explained who Mortimer was.
You know, say, adapt me to learn them same way for you. See, this, you see, we have to think about it in a context for you. Like, we have to think about it like, me I try not to use an advertisement example, but me have to go to the advertisement example. You have three parts of the marketing funnel for you. You have the upper funnel, which are the awareness, and you have the consideration and the you have the sales at the end. Right now, the journey just has started. So at this the journey there, because Kumi, what you know, you see, more than any elder I and I love. Yes, when I and I just a sight Rastafari, and even before I sight Rastafari, my father tell me about this sharp man where him know in a way. When time him a talking of people, him voice powerful, and him a chant Rastafari on a different level, you know. I mean, never, ever say, I think the world would have, this earth strangest man, and all of these different things where the man do. I think the earth that's oh, me no want nobody say all them know the man that show up in one corner. You see from me to come in one movie and this is a Martin plan and my Ella they on screen where everybody has see all who follow all who everybody who has see and I see say that the man exists. It's just the existence of this man and the mention of this man. Me I try to show that say you can't we are trying to put our personal feel every single body. It's not a Titanic. It's not
Fire.
a Titanic.
I gotta disagree. I'm gonna tell you why.
It's not a Titanic. Fire.
I'm gonna tell you why I disagree. One, I think they did a good job in the past documentaries with More, right? In regards to this presentation and giving context. Now remember, we're gonna get into this later. So, but you see with this movie, the fact that because people not into documentaries, the greatest thing about this movie, regardless of what a person thinks, it exposes a whole new demographic to Bob Marley that would never watch a documentary or read a book. It's a movie, and more people are going to watch the movie. And I understand it's a Hollywood movie. You have to make it palatable, right? At the same time, if you were really trying to push the Rastafari history, right, and the work that has been done and highlight certain people, I don't see why you can't take a 30-second throwback clip to show what this man did. Whether it's a reel to show this man on the flight with Selassie, a simple thing in regards to Selassie Chapel with the gang, or just to tell you who this man was. That's all we're saying. I'm not saying this man needs 17 minutes in the movie. I'm not saying he needs 10 minutes. They did a bunch of throwback clips.
Yeah, I tell you, so with the white man in Hollywood, nah, you're lucky. I tell you, stages. So at full of the day, one time, man, like we can have some budget. We not do the movie them one time we want to with the context on a level. But I say,
I agree with
no,
that.
You know, like how they know say Hollywood from jump, and you know say them man they involved to the thing from a jump. You just give thanks that the message can show out there. So I know say them never go so deep na the thing because them I think about theatrics and the way how you appease the audience from somebody say that appease in the audience, but you have to appease the audience in a some manner and sense. The greatest thing is just a black liberation. It's a black liberation thing that it go towards. So we have a bit more. I never say we are critical of no other movies. So yeah, may I tell you the truth.
No, I want to be clear. My critique and the critique that's taking place is totally different. I'm just talking about they should have gave more context and honor these great legends that contributed to the gang. More Plano is definitely deserving of more honor. Joe Higgs, Coxon Dodd, and Austin. That's all I'm saying, Fight. I'm not saying the movie's trash.
Titanic,
all I'm saying,
Titanic.
No, it's not no Titanic. I'm saying that these great figures in Lee Scratch Perry because they played a pivotal role in Bob Marley.
And we have to realize too, this is Steve, Ziggy Marley primarily, his tribute to his mother, and his father. One of the things we realized, even watching the film, and then, I went into the documentaries, is how traumatic, because you don't really think about Bob from his youth's perspective, you know what I mean? From the mother perspective. So, this is why I started the whole thing with congratulating Ziggy and them for really put forward. Because this is their story that they wanted the people to see. It's going to have an impact. They made back their production budget in the first 6 days, over 80 million globally. So this opens the door. But this is not going to be the definitive. This is not going to be the definitive Bob Marley blockbuster film. I think, I would love if even Stephen or one of the other brothers, partner with the Rastafari community. Make we really, because you can't overstand Bob without overstanding Rastafari, because again, the message was Rastafari. There was no, so when you see him budding a big head spliff, you see him doing Africa, why is Africa, all of these disparate parts of him, without having the context of what the movement brought to him and why he embraced the movement like that, it just seems like it's disconnected. We know, and a lot of people will miss it. And I agree with Atarchi that Holy Pa youths, we're critical because we're like the core. So we know the thing, we study the history. So we're gonna be very critical. But like for all my youth, them when they look up on screen and see a Naya Bingi drum, I as a Naya Bingi man might look and say, oh, the man them beard so clean, upon the drum, Come here,
reality soul.
But then I see my brethren Earthquake in the same way, which is a real Bingy man from Upper Malvern. So me say, yeah, them them hire some local youths and, you know, local brethren and sisters were there, you know, within the fullness. So I feel a joy for that same way. But at the same time, I'm going to be more critical than someone who's just coming, who is looking at Ice Spice, you know, who looking at Cardi B, and then they seeing this reality. So we have to also balance that, you know, this was a good thing, because as Artachi said, you know, Marcus Garvey, certain things were blocked on a blockbuster screen. You know what I mean? There was a 20-foot painting from Neville Garrick of His Imperial Majesty, which we have to remember, you know, in 1977, there was the Red Terror in Ethiopia. So this was a time when anti-Haile Selassie propaganda was high. They were assassinating people, literally. There was blood running in the streets of Addis Ababa during this period that this movie is showing, not just Jamaica. And anybody caught with images of His Majesty were killed or put or in prison during this period. And this man is touring Europe, where he could have been shot at, he could have been assassinated with this 20-foot tall hatred of His Majesty. And this shows to I how radical Bob was. And this is my critique, that you had, if you're gonna do Bob Marley, you have to dig down. And Ziggy was the spiritual advisor on the set. I saw that. So I don't know what got cut out in the final edit. And this is where my critique stem from. Come on, would I love give them a 7, you know, Atachi. Would I love give them
All right. Hold on, right. I know we touched on those things. There's one thing I want to touch on. I know we started off with the critique, right? The musical aspect, right? Depending on what theater you went to, the music slapped. I know Stephen Marley was the head of the production. He did an excellent job.
A plus.
And I think that because I was telling my wife, I believe, not even think, I believe that those songs were played, because I remember when I was talking to Riff Raff the whole time, he kept saying he was working on the music, he was working on the score. So I think they played the music again. I just couldn't figure out Hector's situation. I don't know if he was playing the drums live or playing along with him. It looked like he was playing live. So I don't know what's going on, but it seemed like they recorded the live versions to use in the movie, and the thing was on the heights. And that's another aspect that was a great part in regards to bringing people in, you know, because even though I know people was complaining about the soundtrack, because soundtrack's basically like Legend again, One Love, Three Little Birds, Love This, Love That, but they did do War, they did So Jase, they did Selassie Isaac Chapel, and I think there were a couple other things they threw in there.
You know what I'm saying? The master them have me deal so, because now listen to the sound and the quality is like it per, but a Marley thing still. We know how the part there, we don't really feel like so you can go around the part there.
Yeah,
because the man they take sound production and uphold the standard a Tough Gang thing from a audio standpoint. But when we really, you know something when we really I think about when we with this movie now. Most of the people them when we say are complain, them now overstand one thing for you. Are the wrong message we are wrong thing them we are worried about, you know? Because you see Tough Gang, so to my understanding of the Tough Gang is a revolutionary way we deal with people and deal with building and set certain foundation for a core. You see? So if you see me hear the people them I say, oh, so Marley them are gonna build a school after this now. After the movie, you know, and straight Rastafari mission, because like how Tough Gang, Rasta 12 tribe, HQ and all of them think they are Tough Gang, make them think they can do for sustain the movement. So I feel like say if the conversation did go on.
He'll log back on.
Yeah, I like where he was going, because with this, you know, the film is gonna make money. I do think there has to be some investment in the Rastafari community.
All right, before you say that, right, I have to make this clear, and people don't really hear this too much.
Yeah,
I think it's unfair to hold Bob Marley's children to a certain heights and certain behavior that their father's on, because the father lived a totally different life, a totally different exposure. I just want to put that out there, because a lot of times they think like the children's supposed to be this on a certain thing. It's like they didn't go through what the gang went through, and they're not the gang. They're the children of the gang. They could carry on the legacy to a certain heights, but they're not going to replicate the gang, because the experience was totally different. They weren't at Bingies. You get what I'm saying? They didn't go through that type of persecution or that struggle. So I just want to put that out there, because I hear a lot of times in regards to what they should be doing, but if they're in a different space, obviously you could tell by the movie they're in a different space. You know, no
Yeah.
disrespect to anyone. Yeah,
And to be fair, my concern when I went in the theater was Rastafari going to be disrespected, and I didn't feel that Rastafari was disrespected in the film. You know, I just wanted more clarity in terms
yeah.
of Rastafari, um, the whole fullness. And my concern too with the marketing is that I'm watching the rollout. Kingsley Benadir, who did a great job, Lasana Lynch, who did a
Excellent
great
job.
job,
Actors did an excellent job.
Ziggy
Everyone did
Marley.
an
I'm
excellent job.
saying, how come the man them a do so much interview and I don't hear nothing about Rastafari? In the interview, they keep talking about Bob was a message. He had a message. He had a message, and this is my concern about the de-Rastafarization of Bob Marley. And I've even seen online people talk about he converted to Christianity before him pass away and this. But what you have to understand is that when a Rastafari go into the Orthodox Church, that don't mean saying put down Haile Selassie. He's going into the Orthodox Church because Haile Selassie is the defender of the Christian faith. So even all of these things, we have to put them into proper context. It's on the record. He never denies majesty. You know what I mean? So I don't like the fact that big press tour are going and I can't hear, you know, my father, you know, really represented Rastafari, the tenets of Rastafari. This is an opportunity for education. And as you say, they're not their father. But in terms of preserving the father legacy, I ask myself, how would Bob Marley feel to know he's getting all of this marketing and press and then Rastafari get shub in a corner? You know what I mean? For One Love, which is like, you know, this kind of amorphous kind of thing. War don't come
But
up to this amorphous thing. War is his majesty speech.
but
When
far
the
right.
man get shot, where him turn to Haile Selassie I first word sound, the man get the vision and block the sound. We want to know why.
But far right. I had to go look into myself and say, do I have an unrealistic expectation like Farah was saying? Because you know how the legend was just so how do we say this? Strategic in regards to the presentation of Bob Marley, right? Yeah, is this love, one love, three little birds, no woman, no cry. Maybe get up, stand up, Exodus, waiting in vain. I think satisfy my soul is on it. So that's what they wanted to present Bob Marley to the world, right? So why would they deviate now? And how would people expect, or how would people accept if they heard the guy talk about bombing a church? You get what I'm saying? So it's like I just think in regards to the marketing aspect that we have, it's business at the end of the day. They trying to sell tickets, you
Definitely,
know.
definitely.
They can't go too blood and fire. I know we want the blood and fire at the end of the day,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
can't go too
And we
far.
can talk about the business because I'm an entertainment attorney. We can talk about the business because remember, this is collaborative storytelling. Once Ziggy Marley sells the rights to Paramount, he doesn't have final write-off say on what's happening. Paramount is bringing him on board as an advisor, but no studio
Consultation. Yeah.
no studio is spending. They said the production budget for this was 70 million US dollars for this production. No studio is investing that amount of money without ultimate creative control. I'm sure they negotiated some assurances, but we have to be realistic in terms of, you know, the nature of collaborative storytelling from that business perspective. I just hope this is a wake-up call to the Jamaica Film Commission, the private equity, the investors who are Caribbean, who have the money, who could invest in the, because we have to have a Bob Marley film with a Jamaican Rastafari brethren playing Bob, because a Rast is gonna play it, you know, with a different heights, you know, when the thing connect. We have to have that, you know what I mean? So this is this is like Bob Marley 101. This is like an intro course.
Fire, how much? Far, go ahead. I just want to know how much Bob Marley movies you gonna have in the next 20 years, right? You can't have but like 2 or 3. So we can't expect them to have 6 different versions of the man movie in a short
But
span.
this is a
Fire.
small. Remember, this is a 2-year span, you know, King. This was just between. There's so much. I mean, if you just deal with the young Bob, you deal with the Whalers movie. You deal with. There's so
But
much. The
but
Africa
Far,
Shard.
I think
There's so
I'm
much
not
material
sure.
to be made.
No one quote me on this, right? I'm just putting this out there. I'm not sure the legalities in regards to the Peter Tosh estate and the Bunny Willer estate, why they just left him out. Because they said something in the movie that was kind of shady. I'm gonna touch on later, but I don't know if that's the issue in regards to legality or the use of their image or that type of vibe. At the same token, though, if Exodus is the greatest album of all time and you want to present that, I understand why you would focus around Exodus to push that. So we got to keep that, you know, because I remember somebody was saying like, oh, you know, survival, but like Fire Exodus is the album that the world knows and love. You know, so I would center the story around Exodus, and I guess they try to bring in the one love now to bring in the revolutionary aspect to kind of put that rebel side to it. But even the concert itself is called One Love off a wordplay. We call One Love Peace concert, peace. You know, kind of keep that vibe going. But Fire, he was gonna say something, man. No, we can't hear you. Audio. Oh, a Bridget asks, if Paramount was bringing Ziggy on as an advisor, why did he attest to the accuracy in the opening scenes? Don't
Well,
make tea and call it water.
let me be clear. I don't know what the contractual arrangement is. We're speaking generally. However, and as I said, it's collaborative storytelling. So they're in the movie that they make. They want to get the family to push it for them. So they're going to collaborate and make sure that the family is happy. But that doesn't mean that Ziggy has final authority on what goes in the movie, what stays in the movie. As I said, most studio is not going to invest 70 million US and not have final creative control over the final cut of the film. Ziggy obviously was there, again, on the set, making sure that the story that they wanted to be told, they screened it to him. And so, of course, he's going to attest before the film that we're happy with the final cut, and they're going to do it. But it's collaborative. I'm sure there are things that he wanted in the film that got cut, and he had to compromise, and things that he fought for to stay in the film that were in the film. So that's how these things go. But ultimately, may I tell you, even without seeing the contract, I can assure you that Paramount investing this much money had the final cut of, say on the final cut of the film.
Hey, Farah, I mean, Kwasi, well, you can hear Artarchi
No,
getting his audio together, right? I had a question for the people in the chat, actually, right? One of the things I really disliked in the movie was the presentation of Jamaica. And I want to know if the people in the chat saw what I saw. So whenever they presented Jamaica, they presented as if the whole country was in a civil war, right? And I think that was terrible for brand Jamaica because it's a part of a city that these things are taking place. It's not even the entire Kingston. It's not the entire town that this thing is taking place. It's a part of the town. So did I see it wrong? Did other people see it that way? Where it's like the way they present it is that the whole Jamaica was under this civil unrest, and you could walk around and get shot, and there's shootouts all around Jamaica. That's the vibe that I got, and that's one of the parts I really disliked about the movie.
Definitely, it was very focused. And again, I can't remember the director's name, but we also have to remember that the director is the principal griot that's telling the story. So he's going to try to cut out. They may have shot a whole heap of footage. They probably had drones flying all about the place. But when they in the final cut, movies are made in the final cut. So they probably shot maybe 4 hours of film, and then they have to cut it down. And this was under 2-hour movie. So I agree what they showed did not represent the beauty that we know, the little thing down at the waterfall with the Cane River. You could have given some drone shot coming into the waterfall and show some of the beauty. But I know these are directors' choices in terms of trying to make it was a tightly cut film, because I saw the film twice, and I can tell you just from a purely directorial perspective, it was a well cut film. I
Very well cut.
with some of the narrative choices, but that doesn't take away that it's not a boring film. The movie moves, I mean. Stephen Marley, the soundtrack was excellent, I mean. I saw it in Dolby, so that alone is going to move people to hear them songs with that sound system there, you know what I mean. But you know what I mean, wholly, we have to remember, again, this is collaborative storytelling. Over 2,000 Jamaicans were employed during the making of this film. When you talk about these blockbusters on this scale, we have to remember that this is story by committee. So you're gonna lose things, compromise, and this is why we have to fund our own films. You know what I mean? We don't need a Paramount. Black people have to tell our own story. That's the whole mission I'm on right now in creation. There's that the lion have to tell his own story. That's why we have our Lion's Voice network and them thing here, because We can complain about it, which most people just are going to type and complain, but they're not going to support black-owned production studios or films, or you know what I mean. And this is why we have to rise the frequency and the vibration. Ziggy made a step. Now we have to make some more step. You know what I mean?
And I want to say this. I know we've been giving Ziggy a hard time in regards to the movie, right? But I want to mention this. I do say salute to him. And how do I get rid of this thing here? Hold on. I want to say salute to him and Sadella, I believe, because what they did is what I advocate people should always do. They took responsibility for telling their father's story, regardless of what issues we have with how the story is presented. They took responsibility for telling the father's story, and more people need to do this, just not on a big scale, but in your own family, like documenting history. We've really dropped the ball. That's one thing I've learned from doing the interviews over the years, is that we really dropped the ball in regards to preserving our own history. And we blame others when they don't preserve it, or we blame others how it's presented. But we need to take that responsibility on the big scale and the small scale. I hope people that watch the movie get an inspiration if they have the funding. I know I'm inspired to do something in the future, to tell our story from our perspective, right? Now, with that said, right, there's another part we didn't talk about, I think, that was very good. It started out in the beginning of the movie. They showed, in regards to the gang, they showed just the stress he was under, how busy he was, and how many people were dependent on it. I think they did a great job with that with the opening scene, right?
Yes.
He goes there, people begging for money. He heard all the stories, lines of people begging for money, need to go interview, this and that. And like, even throughout the movie, they showed just the humanity of the gang, the complexity of the gang, and also the fact that he struggled emotionally, he struggled with confidence, right? He struggled with the struggles the average man goes through. And I think they did a great job showing that.
Definitely. And big up Kingsley Benadir. You know what I mean? He conveyed the emotion very well. Good actor. That was not an easy task for them give him. They really almost set him up, you know what I mean? Because Jamaica's one of the hardest people to please, you know what I mean? So for the brother to take it down and to
I only can imagine,
you see the online, and the brethren, most of the people are saying the brethren, perform well, and I agree. You can tell that the brethren had a reverence, and that's what I'm saying. Even I saw his interview on the Breakfast Club, and I was waiting for him to say something about far, and he ended it and said, Bob would say Haile Selassie, God, and him slip it in, but you could tell that the brethren really dive deep into to Bob. I would have to commend, the work that he put in. Lashana Lynch, sometimes the accent did a little shaky, but that's all right because the acting, the acting that the sister
she was she was great. She really captured the hurt of Rita Marley. Like it looked like she was in pain the whole movie. You know what I'm saying? They kind of overdid it.
And this is the tribute. This is this is the children giving a tribute to their mother Flowers
and
while she's still alive.
It's their perspective, and like she did a great job.
So that's why when I look at it from that perspective, it's hard for me to critique the thing, to give it a failing grade or to be too hard, because it really was beautiful from a love story, black man, black woman, through the trials and tribulation. When you look at it from that lens, and you know that the children themselves were behind it, because they really made their mother, they really showed what their mother went through in terms of, probably how Rita would have wanted it.
No, big time.
For a parent, as a parent, if you know, say you're you, them do that for you while you're still alive, that has to be commended, And I saw a picture with Ziggy, Roa, and Stephen and Julian on set with the brethren Kingsley Benadir. So that shows a lot, and Sadella was involved. So that shows a majority of the youth them in the family, were involved with this. And again, I think it was a tribute to their living parent, their stepmother, whatever, and Mama Rita got through a lot. She certainly deserved a little tribute while she's here, So from that perspective, but again, I still can't get a 7, 6.5 me there with me thing right now. 6.5, because again, I think you have to tell the story of Rastafari to connect it to why Bob was who he is. You give us the message, but you don't really explain. You don't give us the root. It's almost like them tease you with some crumbs.
All right, so
thing.
this is a question a lot of people ask, right? I want to hear your perspective. And Farai, just let me know. Hold on. Let me try to get Farai back in here. Farai, you can hear me? Talk, say something. Take your no, take your audio off. Say something.
Yeah, may I hear me?
All right, we're clear now. Your mic actually linked up now properly. Your mic good. Now
No, yeah, I started it up.
I was asking Kwasi, I want to hear everyone's perspective now. We were just talking about, some things we enjoyed about the movie while you were gone. Do you think Jamaica will benefit from this movie? Do you think Jamaica will benefit from this movie? And when I say Jamaica, I mean actual Jamaican citizens, not just a hotel or a government. Do you think Jamaican citizens will get any rollover from this movie? I have my answer. I just want to hear what you guys have to say.
Tarchi, you want
This
to take that one there
this
first?
Bridget said yes, more tourism, right? We're gonna get to that too, Dr. Daniel. We're gonna get to
Yeah,
that one. So
yeah,
hold that argument. I want to hear
yeah.
what Far had to say.
If Jamaica get no benefit off of the movie, yeah?
Yeah. But roll over to Jamaican citizens, not just the tourists in the street or government entities.
No, me no see that I take place, and me no see why we're supposed to hold the movie towards the particular standard. Because if any other family, or anybody or do a particular business entity, what to me, when that's time before me they drop out, me I tell them say, when it comes to the whole concept of mission of Rastafari fulfilling, I feel like that most people supposed to talk about. But when we say that now, it's more over the works of Rastafari where the tough gang fulfill, and it's a continuation knowing same seed that continue for push the works there. But in regards to it rolling over to Jamaica, I out of my conscience and the way how we think about community development and forward thinking for black liberation. But I don't really know if do want them think like that, and I now hold them towards that. I know. So when it comes to Bob Marley in itself, Bob Marley is a carrier of the Jamaican economy where the GDP depends so much on tourism, as a man mentioned. So in the full grand scheme of things, even when time everybody are complain and I talk about this thing. A matter of fact, me I switch it midway. Yeah? Yes. There's a tourism are the main thing where it go benefit the place. Because most people are come. But if you check what go on now, who are going benefit off of that, and most of the upper echelons are benefit off of that because we know how the whole thing go, but that's at the part that hypocrisy of the people them want to talk about now, trip back on the people them now. Or we not talk about the fact say JLP and PNP where Siaga and Manley them in them political warfare make Bob Marley have to even runway in the first place, and the man them highlight the whole concept about that. We're supposed to glad say them highlight that, but most of we still go vote for PNP and vote for JLP and then still go complain about Bob Marley movie. Or we not complain about Mark Golding and complain about Andrew Holness. And them we fair complain about and I go on the movie I highlight that and I show say PNP and JLP are garbage and trash, and them not treat Jamaican people like nobody. Them treat them like animals. But yet still, the same people will be supporters of PNP and JLP and then come and focus on the movie. No, that's a hypocrisy. So the double standard, it now make no sense. Because we have to have bun PNP and bun JLP, which the movie highlight that more than anything else. So all we are complaining about, we see what go on and see how the whole instigation of Bob Marley life go on through political warfare and gang violence were sparked by PNP and JLP, which that gone all over the world. See them great, all of them chaos there. I mean, they talk about the whole civil unrest. If Jamaica didn't have civil unrest, yes, because when you think about it, fire, CIA involved in things and involved with political party. Even tied house get burned down, which 180, 150 of them man get burned down due to politics in Jamaica at that time. That is a civil war. And if a next government is involved in infiltrating a country, that in its grand scheme is a civil war. So anything we are talking about fire, the people them have to overstand say fire. The thing bigger than just focus on the criticism of one movie to the extent where we start going like so when I see the bigger picture. So Jamaica will benefit. I feel that the most upper class people are going to benefit, which is the sad part about it, because of these same upper class people create the chaos with the movie I highlight.
I just want to touch back on what you said, Fire, right? In regards to the word civil war, I use it kind of light, but the issue I had with the movie was the whole country wasn't destabilized.
It
Like the
was.
violence wasn't the
It was.
violence wasn't taking place across the whole country.
Name one parish where never take place because me see all we are St. Thomas, me see them Bucklebone people also up at Erie Castle and Grasset and these things out of political violence, which is in rural Jamaica before nobody from town even got them places there. Political violence are going straight through, especially in story. Me know stories and elders who show me them thing they're deep in a bush or man a shoot off a man with one pop in a bush. All across different St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas, all of these different places, all across Westmoreland before it become where it was what it is today. So civil war are going all across Jamaica.
No,
We are
when
going to don't play it.
but far right, you
And
can't.
reality, I just we are Jamaican, make I say that.
Nah, it's
Civil war that go on down there for your 1980 election is up there with Nicaragua invasion, is up there with the revolution that go on at Cuba, Grenada, with them Trinky and Maurice Bishop. Jamaica was going through the same precedents, but it was
so
a
hold on.
covert warfare,
You
and that's
saying
the reason why we're not putting all in it up there because the covert warfare that are go on
hold
in
on. So
Jamaica.
you saying how they present Jamaica in the movie in the news clips is accurately presented?
Fire, what you mean? What you mean? What you mean? Fire Jamaica with PMP and JLP, the only manipulation where them a take place and
Hold
go
on,
on with
fire. We're not talking about no manipulation. I'm talking about the violence, the way they presented it. They
yeah,
presented
but
it as
violence
if
are
violence
going
was
at
taking place.
Jamaica.
Yeah, but we're not saying you're
Per
gonna have areas
capita,
with.
even from
But hold
that
on.
time, rising per capita
But
violence, that's
no.
straight
But
to
hold
Jamaica.
on.
So
I
we are
just want
going
to be
like we're
clear.
Jamaican.
We're not saying that there was no violence taking place in other areas, but it's inaccurately present like anywhere you go in Jamaica was a shootout taken out during that time.
Only
That wasn't the case. It was just in certain areas.
at the reality that in a trench town, most of the film base around, we see this film base and then when certain places,
All
when I see
right, that's
how
what
they
I'm
pick all
saying.
across,
That's what
but
I
when I
said.
see how
That's
they
the
depict
issue.
like the country just all out in
Fire.
an
The
unrest.
wording that they used was Jamaica. They never said Trenchtown.
If it was not Jamaican, you wouldn't even pre that. It's just a Jamaican thing. I feel like Jamaican always want to
No,
say, oh, we're not that violent, but yet still statistics show so
no,
we're violent. So we are going, we
no,
are talking
no
about.
one's saying that we're not that violent. Fire. No one's saying it. I'm just
No,
saying
but
that it was presented wrong when they. Fire. I was talking to my mother about this the other day because she said when she came up here in the '70s, when the late '70s, early '80s, when Cheryl Posse and them was doing their thing, they always presented Jamaica not in the area. They would say Jamaica on the whole. That's the issue that I have. Yes, there may be violence in other areas, fire, but the violence in St. Elizabeth or something that took place in St. Thomas wasn't as hot as it was in Trenchtown or in Olympic
we are
Gardens or
Jamaica,
in Waterhouse.
we are treat like that, man. I
So
tell
that's
you.
the issue that I have in regards to the way they presented it on a national stage at that. And that goes back to the context we were saying before in regards to how things are presented. You should have clearly stated that this is a particular area. That's like saying right here in Philly, that's like taping Kensington right now and telling the world that's the whole Philly. That's irresponsible. That's Kensington. That's a part of Philadelphia.
Yeah, unrest are going all about Jamaica 19 years, leading up to 19
I clearly
years.
hear what you're saying, but it wasn't.
All through Jamaica.
But
It's
it
just
was.
show that.
It
I tell
wasn't.
you.
But it wasn't
I
consistent in different areas
want
like
to
that.
touch on the Jamaica benefit question. I think the man on the street every day will not benefit. I agree that tourism will benefit because people are going to get nostalgic. But you know that Jamaica tourism increases every year. You know, most of the general people, yes, it does create employment and those things, but in terms of our inner cities and certain region, we're not seeing that benefit. There's also going to be an opportunity for the Jamaican film industry that has been struggling to tell their stories. There are a lot of very talented filmmakers in Jamaica. You know, I've had the opportunity to meet some of them. So hopefully this, you know, shows because finance, you know, for those who are not familiar, you have to have a financing to make films of this nature and this stature. When we talk about 2,000 Jamaicans employed on the making of this film, it's not anything to sneeze at, you know what I mean? And that doesn't include the foreign production that came down, the equipment that was shipped in, hotels, whole heap of money spent in the country. We're talking about a $70 million production budget. That doesn't include the marketing budget. So in terms of, you know, showing that, because if this movie did flop, then it would also have been a hit to the Jamaican film industry. But this has now shown that Jamaican stories are marketable globally. Now, Bob Marley is a huge, iconic figure, but Jamaica don't have one or two of them. There's been a Marcus Garvey movie, Languishing. You know, we heard the Brethren was supposed to play it. I can't remember the Brethren Jamaican brethren was supposed to play Garvey. So there's a whole heap of Jamaican iconic figures that, this film may convince private capital to invest, to tell stories on this scale. So in terms of the benefit for the Jamaica film industry, that's a potential, time will tell. We have to be honest and realistic about that. But for the everyday man in the garrison, this is not going to create a benefit. And what we need to do, and if family is listening or see this, I think Rastafari is the solution for Jamaica. I think Buju Banton say Rastafari free the people over hills and valleys too. Is really Rastafari necessary to deal with this violence issue in Jamaica, but the community has to be empowered. Stop criminalize the community. You still have man that get locked up for herb right now in Jamaica who I say Rastafari. You have Bob Marley upon a big spliff on the screen, and then you lock up brethren for herb. Whole heap of uptown people at the premiere are singing a dance, and then tomorrow morning I go court because I get catch with £2 a herb or whatever. So if Jamaica is looking at this film and the impact, because Rastafari give you this global impact. Rastafari is the root of this victory for Jamaica. So if you look upon this, you don't need no more convincing that you have a treasure. We're not even asking them to give you money. Just allow the community, let the community grow and prosper. These are the things where we're needed right now. In a real sense.
Kwasi, I want to touch on two things. One, we have a comment here. What level of employment, right, for 2,000 Jamaicans? It's not my place to put the business out what I heard, but the employment wasn't that great. So we just can't go by the number. I don't want people to be deceived by the number.
Okay.
When we get into livable wages and that type of vibe, right?
Okay.
But in regards to the country benefiting, especially those listening, you can play your part because obviously there is going to be a new interest in Jamaica, and you may not want to stay at an all-inclusive, or if you do, you may want to go out and socialize and eat at different places and visit certain places. Because I think the problem is what's going on now is that it's this funnel where you get off the airplane, you go to your destination, you sit at the all-inclusive all day, you may go to another tourist destination, but you yourself don't mingle. And I understand the financial aspect, right? But if you do want to help the economy, there are a lot of places you can go to actually spend money with Jamaicans. So anyone going down there, I do encourage you to go out at different places, restaurants, different things, and do your thing and spend your money there. Because for those unaware, a lot of the hotels, that money never touches the island. Like literally, it goes from Expedia online somewhere, so it never touches the island. And unfortunately, the workers at these hotels, a lot of them, they definitely don't make a livable wage,
But you see, my love how they them touch that still, but me put a next spin on it though. Cause me I direct at the people them, I try really show the people them say it's almost like a savior complex business. Me see most people are complaining about this movie and we can't really look for a man like a pie up the man in the sky. Remember I said to most of the people them have Christian I think but creatively about the Bob Marley movie are probably the Jesus to come save Jamaican people. What we I think about? We have to think about the thing from a next level fire like. We can't just pre the thing like we want to complain about this and complain about that. And you will find so much different thing because you see the amount of thing we are said positive, and yeah, it's a good good portrayal of a black man and a black woman same way who say African consciousness, but yet still it's like the amount of fault we are finding and the amount of thing where we are say it's still not really add up to the fullness because talking about the Jamaican economy itself. Jamaican are even Rastafari. The average Jamaican I love Rastafari. I just a facade. So the people who are complaining about Bob Marley movie, ask them if them love Rastafari. Yeah, they might love when you hear nice and pretty and finey and
excellent point.
You got hairdresser and your thing, but enough of them not deal with black. Tell the average Jamaican say them come from Africa, and the average Jamaican would disrespect you. So don't it's a fact so me say for myself consistently. The average Jamaican don't want to be called an African. So come where I come and white man take this, and it's not a constructive criticism we are doing. It's more like the people them really just a focus on all of the things and what this could have do or how it could have helped so much youth life. No, fire. We have to think about the thing from a broader scale because we have to think about the community development. Number one, we have to think about the way how we even interact with each other on a daily basis. Because I mean, never see nobody in the culture smile amongst them one another. May I tell you that? Or we even develop the culture in a way socio-economic settings and deal with some form of community development instead of focus, get up every day where I focus on what Marley do, what Marley now do, oh, this one I like what Marley do, this I sell out what culture, Bob Marley are rolling them grave. Them things that now add up.
But
Because
all right, hold on. I just want to be clear.
no,
Who said that?
no, me I say
That's
no,
what I'm saying.
that is
I'm
out
just trying
there.
to see how that
No,
come into our
no,
reasoning because no one said that.
no, I the same reasoning, but in a different fashion. Me I tell you because when me see it, I will say, all right, where I think about it from a grand scale for you. Where I say, all right, this movie, we love how the movie go on. I will, with there, them I say them love it, but then me I hear most of the things that when me I hear where I think about angles where it, oh, the negative angles are what was not in the missing ingredient in the pot, as opposed to yo, this pot, yet miss these ingredients, but here is the bigger picture. Like from the reasoning start, I know I miss a piece of the thing, but from the reasoning start, I feel like the tourism question where the I ask are the most forward thinking conversation may ever see centered around the whole thing because we are thinking about now we start talk economy. Number one, we start talk economy. And then from there I mentioned that JR mentioned that a while ago and then Kwesi come in and come mention the other part of it the same way we are dealing with Rastafari on the levels, you know. So may I say, well, we are thinking about it now, fire. We have to really overstand, say, this thing is just a one man work. Marley work the over here. So yes, there's benefits. There's benefits to roll over. We can roll over towards the people them. But
No,
if we are thinking about
I hear that, but the earlier argument was to clarify historical legends that should have been highlighted. I don't see nothing negative about that. Like these are people that set the trend fire, and the movie didn't do justice. And it's not even the movie; it's for people to understand these characters that are in the movie. So it's not nothing. You present it like, you know, the Wrenching Resident Coxon, Kumi, Joe Higgs in regards to highlight them so people could do further research and get context of what they want.
That's time I had ask them. That's time I asked there if a Titanic they want because if a Titanic, you see who you mention, me hear other people mention more. So you see the list now are people who have got build up. Is like, remember, you know, you talk about it from your perspective, right? So you might list 5 things where it not sound as detrimental. Then the next man list five things when they sound detrimental, and it's like a whole laundry list of things. Now what may I say now is the fact say, yeah, we can mention that because there are certain things, just like how you mentioned it. When the studio one was a part of the whole thing with Coxon Dad, and there I mentioned that about living with Coxon Dad. I, for one, overstand from where you knowing say Tough Gang come through studio one school same way, just like Bob and the enough of them different man they will come through. Yeah, we know that, so we highlight that and we say, you know, so we don't like that, we vex about that. You see what I say? And certain things, the way how the man, when the man them talk about Peter Tosh and Bunny Whale and say, oh, them man, they like, it's like almost like if a person I know, yeah, it's like almost like a man them just not want to work. When them man, their man will come fulfill whole heap of work because the album them they're there for sure. Yeah. The album they're there for sure, the movements they're there for sure, the impact they're there for sure. So me now say, no, me now make it sound like it's a fairy tale and thing, you know. Me no want to get it twisted like me I say. Oh, it's just a fairy tale thing and it exposed everything wait for do. But it do it work. And that means a man
we're not but that's the thing. You present it like we just did like
I have a positive rating. Remember,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
6.5, you know, that made me like it more than me dislike
it. One reason why I said that, you know, the one reason why I said that before, one reason why I said that, because here we go on. We have to be careful. You have a thing when a political environment and a political environment they don't know attention, they don't know, you know. You see when we are talk about a topic and they know this as that they are man teaching in a classroom, they know this. You see when we talk about a topic and most people we are listening to a topic and the mindset that they so and that is the ear where they over the whole conversation. We have to be careful where we highlight and how we center things and say, all right, see, I see the subtopic, I see the big picture, we keep on reinforce this. This is the bigger picture. And these are some areas now. Because I tell you, I say, right now, most people hear there them a reason certain way. What's that them have there them on the heights. I tell you, say, enough people are going to see that them man their heights on the heights and hear what them I say. Them agree with me. So now it's almost like the way a certain man mind might ignorant to a Joe X thing, but him approach the thing. He might approach the thing from a complaining or a critical standpoint. We have to be careful how we push them type of energy there.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, there's stuff that need to be acknowledged in regards to giving, because the whole thing was broadening the context of what's going on. Like Kwasi brought up the Selassie fire. People watch the movie, they don't know who the man is. So we just mentioning who the man is and that, what's going on. So I don't see where that's a
And
great critique.
also, I think critique is critical because it probably going to help out the family, because I know the family, maybe they fought to have more of Haile Selassie in the film, and Paramount said, we don't want to be political. There's stuff going on in Ethiopia, so we don't want to put too much about Haile Selassie there to trigger some people. And so there could have been all kinds. So the more that we as a community speak out and say we want to see more, it gives the Marleys or whoever else is making the next film leverage for say, see, that's what the people them out there want. But if everybody's quiet, then it's harder for them to make these arguments in the boardroom. And that's why, I really look at, is a positive, because overall, as I said, as a father, I took my young children there, 2 teenage people who, if they never like it, they would have pulled out them phone, they would have dropped asleep in the movie. They were stuck on the screen. I asked them how they felt. We had conversations around the dinner table about Rastafari, how they grew up going to Nyabingi, they saw it on the screen, so I was able to have these things, and they were able to have that validation amongst them friends who see the movie and know, say, that are the idea. You know what I mean? So overall, it was a positive, but within the positivity, we can't just be a yes man and just say, yeah, everything is, we have to know how we can sharpen the sword. And that's why I was careful. When I came on this platform, because it's a major platform, I make sure I congratulate Ziggy, the family, and say, as a creative, as someone in the industry, to know what it takes to get a project of this magnitude done and completed and to the people. I have to big up the ones them for make that effort. The fact that Haile Selassie name was declared, and gone through the 4 corners of the earth, at the beginning of the movie, at the ending of the movie. We heard Stephen Marley singing Haile Selassie is the chapel in Dolby surround sound. For that alone, war in surround sound. For them thing they alone, we give thanks when Rita gets shot in her head and Bob Marley look up and say, Rastafari. You know what I mean? Them thing that we feel them thing that, we feel them thing that we see on the screen, because we say, really, I've probably saw it go for true. You know what I mean? When him call out upon the mighty name. So them thing that make we feel irie. You know what I mean? When Junior Marvin, a man where me know personally, me see him in the movie portrayed by his son, and him say, yes, Jah Rastafari, and them little part there. There were so many, there's a lot of highlights in the film. So I don't join the people who have bashed the film completely and say Ziggy them sell out and raid. Me not in that camp there.
The political environment and the political cloud.
You know what I mean?
The political cloud.
I am a Nyabingi man. So me I go talk about women know, which is His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie the First. He needed to establish it more so that when the horse come at the end of the movie and then pick up the little youth, we know is who them attack. Give us some dialogue, give us something in there. We make we know, say, this is the father that I never had. Martin Mopano could have said, Haile Selassie is a father to the fatherless. You show 2 clippings of His Majesty and the thing. Give me something.
What a personal preference them that me I tell them.
You
But
know
hold
that,
on,
you
Fire.
know
But
that.
hold on. But hold on,
Full of the
Fire.
day.
I know that.
Hold on.
Yes.
You keep
But-
talking about his personal preference in Titanic, right? All we're saying is, and what we said, I think I clarified this earlier, Fire, to give Brother context, because I listened to the reviews of what people have been saying. Most of them are foolishness because they don't know anything about it anyway, right? But in regards to moving the message forward, because that's the main thing, moving the message forward, we're just saying certain things could be done for another 15 seconds or something to give better context and background information, and it would have made the story stronger. It would have made the message stronger. That's all the breakdown's saying. One thing I want to move on before we get to the next thing, right? You brought up the father thing, right? Selassie at the end, full circuit comes around. There was a little distortion. Regardless of that, though, I think many men, I mentioned it earlier, but I want to delve deeper into it and want to hear from both of your perspectives. I think many men can relate to a feeling of inadequacy when they don't have a father, or they may have a father, but they still don't have that father figure. And I think that was a great point in the movie, and I hope that people actually got that part, because it was a theme that constantly ran with the movie in regards to it just seemed like an emptiness that was there due to this relationship with the father. and a failure to have a relationship with the father.
As any youth, and that's why we are say you're running and you're running and you're running away, but you can't run from yourself because within yourself you find Haile Selassie, and that is where Tough Gang do, and that is where we think about it from an artistic perspective and see a man a run and see the fire light right around a man full circle, the fire come full circle around a man and a man a run and the man come forward and see that fully. And you see, regardless of how we did want it, the pick with this particular context there. I don't disagree. Some of them we keep on a show that them say it's not a pie in the sky thing, but me I say, yeah, a lot of these things, whether we want to admit it or not, they are personal preference because we are saying, all right. Yeah, I mentioned the family man example. Yeah, family man was there. That's what
Hold
I
on,
say. So
Fire.
let's
Why are we talking
again.
about family, man? We talking about fathers and Selassie.
No. Me I said
I don't
today.
understand.
No. Me I show that. No, me I said in regards to that. But me I
Yeah.
said in regards to that, we are talking about the rules of two father. That's why me I
Yeah.
mentioned that.
All
So me I
right,
said
man.
we're talking about the rule. No,
Yeah.
me I said I mentioned that right. We are talking about the rules of two father, and we used to know all the rules of two father come really fulfill works and have even the man them youth involved in these things. So you see the power of how relationships were shown, as simple as a relationship shown. The role of a father so important that Gang he with himself as shown as a father throughout this movie, whether or not we want to say different piece. The reason why I make reference to this because we know say you have an audience to listen. Them as say certain things missing. So I have to show them so regardless of these things being missing. Here is the picture as it relates to the father concept where we are talking about now. A man running and running away from a father. From running and running away, him father neglect him, and him run and find Haile Selassie as a father. And then you have even in the midst of that, you have youth and youth to connect youth to just to out them relationships that we are shown on the TV screen. There is full manifestation of that even in the onset of the movie itself. There are so many depictions of fathers being shown right through and then show Haile Selassie as the full father figure. Regardless if we say, all right, the name never mentioned, you have to show more context of the going into Haile Selassie. I'm saying in any story whatsoever or any form of depiction of any individual where you look up to, when you think about father figure, there is some form of flaw in that. Just as how there's a flaw in the story, to a certain extent, there's flaw in every single man as a character, as a father characteristics. Seeing? So we have to pre and observe and highlight these form of things. On a screen, there is a man who found a black father figure, a man from Africa as the ultimate father figure, which will see, I'm seeing at the end, man, I tell about even Zimbabwe and these things. The ultimate father figure lead him to these different parts, made him so interested in Africa as a full father figure. As an Haile Selassie is a man. So that may I say, when it comes to even the role of father, that was one of the major things that will stand out to me, The whole concept of fatherhood will stand out to me, I guess may I say, when I realize a man I run from so long and then at the end, him really come run full circle. Him can't run from that none at all. So the concept of being a father figure, him inspired by Haile Selassie, if he carry out the works for female youth, and female youth, them can have a portrayal of him on the screen same way. So yeah, and it's never no blood nor no crip. A man run to and go look to, and then a man realize him in need of a father figure as a youth, him turn to Haile Selassie as a father figure. And that in itself so powerful and out of this world to I.
Yeah, but I don't know if Kwasi you could touch on the.
Yeah. Let me big up Ronaldo Marcus Green, the director, because these are some directorial choices, and I think it was a bold move to that whole fire motif before each concert when he was thinking about the first song and him go flashback and the fire surround, and then that motivates what he chooses as his first song of the night, and they made that a plot point in the film, how he gets that spiritual and him put him hand over him head and the song come to him. I like that part, you know what I mean? And especially when he was thinking about, and then him come up with War. What I'm saying is that I think that the narrative of the father, they had the flashback with the white man leave him and he's looking as a little youth and he's looking and, he loses, he feels that abandonment then, I think that building on that narrative, I think it was a bold choice from the director to make that the through line, the father and the role of the black father, the father for a black man. being rejected by a white father, accepted by a black father. So I love that part there, but I just think, and this is why it didn't get a 7 from me or an 8, because narratively, I think you made the bold choice, go all the way there. Show us this father that he replaced. It was such an important plot point. I think that they didn't do justice to show who was the father that was replacing. We didn't learn about the father. It was a mystery almost, who this Rastafari was. No, maybe it make people search, but they could have done more. Give thanks.
Do you think that the movie will kind of, all right, so we had a lot of conversations about reggae artists, right? So I know certain reggae artists are criticizing the other reggae artists that are doing their thing now that people don't know about. But do you think this movie will lead to a I don't want to say a reemergence, but a growth of younger artists getting into reggae?
Say from the that's one of the main thought them to my brain. And the answer I come up with it kind of appalling to my brain. So me really wonder if it right. Me feel like say most youths outside of Jamaica and certain space are gonna get inspired for the reggae even more so. But me I wonder if then I feel like it'll lead to a more wave of criticism because the youth them are in the island, through them depend on a different type of meditation and different type of flow, and the pace of them depend with the whole gangsterism and so deep in the whole gangsterism. I feel like that it now gonna be them set of youth that who are gonna get inspired and rise up as reggae artists itself. I feel like a youth outside of even the central tenet what would I call Jamaica then, and when are necessarily around Jamaican culture per se, black broader youths across the world, but not necessarily youths in the culture, because I feel like the youths in the culture, so deep within for them subgroups and deep within for them current dancehall culture and this that particular way that them for them meditation not ready for shift yet because them so deep in a for them world that are this of them there right now. So the consciousness of them youth then are ready for come full circle it.
I think we can't know the impact. We have to wait and see. But when the music hits, you feel no pain, and there's a natural mystic. You can't telegraph these things. I can say that a new generation who are curious that hear this music in full surround sound, it's gonna cause some reverberation, whether that translates into actual artists or just people buying more Bob Marley music. Time will tell. But it's gonna have a positive impact, and the frequency that Bob Marley music resonate, because we have to remember enough of we get jaded because we've been in the trad for a long time, or we've been conscious for a long time, and we don't remember when we first came in, to our consciousness, listening to that Bob Marley album or CD or cassette, or however you started, and you started going to this journey, and it made you want to learn more and these things. So I think that this film is gonna have that impact. You can't play this quality of music, back to back, all of these songs that were played and portrayed, and it not have a positive impact, because Rastafari vibration is positive. We can get into the details of the movie, and we have critiques and things, but I definitely think that, as I said, my youths them not going just put on a Bob Marley. I've heard my youths them singing Bob Marley song from the movie, from coming from the movie, just randomly. So there's going to be a generation that goes to this movie and is introduced, is a gateway. Is, like I say, is a surface, is a one-on-one. And I commend the family for making that step. And for those who critique, what I mean, are we going to support independent film? Because this is a studio blockbuster film, and blockbusters have their inherent problems. You're never going to get a blockbuster that goes so hard in terms of revolution. You have to know that. So are we going to, or are we willing to support? Because we see a lot of fire even in the comments. Are these people going to spend money to support independent black media and production and these things?
A different thing that you are going on now, because the average person we really sit down and say, right, them are gonna file a complaint. The average person now support an independent film. I tell you that.
I wanna say this real quick, right? One, I feel that there is gonna be a reemergence of music coming forward. Reason is the word sound, it can't be denied, and it's a new set of people. I understand technology is different, and I know people are under influence a lot, but I feel that we can't deny that the conviction that people are gonna feel when they hear the gong music, I think will push some to pursue, even if it's not reggae per se, pursue music that's more conscious, whatever culture and space that they're in, right? Now the question is, realistically, how long will they stay to it due to the support financial? You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of it, you know. But in regards to, I feel there's definitely going to be a mass movement, even in Jamaica to a certain extent, because um, just the imagery. You know, there's certain scenes there. We had the Marcus Garvey book, we had the Haile Selassie book, and just the greatest thing about the movie, and I said this before I even watched the movie, was the fact that it exposes Bob Marley to a new generation that don't necessarily know him. And when they go on and hear certain sounds, and you know when you go down that rabbit hole, because it may start with One Love, but you may end up at Babylon System, or you may end up with Zimbabwe, or you may end up with Rat Race. You know, so I just feel in my spirit that, or maybe that's my bias and that's my want, but I really feel people are going to move towards a more conscious spell. And I know some of the brothers and sisters are a little deep into certain things, and some may come up, but and it's two waves now, because you have the wave of the theater, then you gotta have the streaming wave, and the
Yes,
streaming wave is obviously longer than the theater
definitely.
wave. And
And
also we have to acknowledge this too, Fire, that social media wave,
yes,
because you got shorts that's gonna go viral with certain little things, and it's not just gonna be smoking and this and that. It's gonna be some little word sound that really catch a man, you know, or a woman. So
and the movie has tremendous replay value. I saw it twice. I enjoyed it the second time more than even the first time, to be honest. You know what I mean? Because I knew what to expect, so I could really look at the details. I could look and see my brethren them in the film, this, that, different things. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed it the second time more than the first time. So on streaming, this is gonna be one of them cult movie where people just put on because they want to hear the music
I definitely think so, you know.
and the setting. So it's gonna be tremendous. I just encourage, you know, a man like Steve and Damien, who I know them really profess the Haile Selassie part of them father more. You know, it was Stephen Marley's voice in the film, you know, that, and Stephen was a music supervisor. Let's big up Stephen Marley because the sound mix, you know, everything was very top
Solid.
notch. You know, the sonic
Thumping, you know, thumping, thumping, thumping.
was and the song selection that they chose to be in the film, you know what I mean, was top notch. The you know, I just pray that Stephen, because this is, you know, from what we see, Ziggy really championed this story for his mother. Give thanks. We saw it. We give thanks. I pray that Stephen and Damien now take up, you know, either a full biopic or take a time like when Bob go Africa and show the more revolutionary side. Make we dive into the Rastafari, who the essence of Bob is. You know what I mean? Don't just give me the crumbs. Yes, he was reading the book, and that was great. Him read the Bible, that was great. You know what I mean? We got the crumbs, you know. So those who are seeking, them are going to seek for based off of that. But I just pray that this is not the last story that even the family tells. And the reason I say the family, because, and this is a legal thing, you don't have to get permission to do a biopic. You know, you can do a docudrama and tell the story, but to get the licensing of the music, that's what made this so special, because there's a whole music licensing issue. Forget these original, and they also had the original stems. Some of those concert, the Bob Marley voice that you heard were unreleased stems and things that they had. You know, I watched some interviews of Stephen Marley, and you know, so we got to hear some very special vocals and different things that was happening. So, you know what I mean? That's why I think it's important for the family to be involved in a future Bob Marley that really goes deeper into the Rastafari. So we can't look at this as, again, this can be the definitive story. And I don't think Ziggy them intended it to be, because it's only a 2-year period, you know, that they really address, and they put what they wanted to put in there. But I pray that this is a entry point, that we can have a more, you know, essence, because again, my concern, looking at the press run is the de-Rastafarization of Bob Marley. I'm seeing a lot of ones want to try separate Bob from Rastafari when that was the message. Don't just tell me say him have a message and it's generic, like, you know, hippies say peace and love. Don't just tell me that. Tell me what was the message. And the man say it in the first line of the movie. My message is Haile Selassie the first, earth rightful ruler. Give me that. We want a movie with that. That's
But,
why.
but far right, that's been the case though. Like for the last 3 decades, you get what I'm saying? Like when they disassociated Bob Marley with the Rastafari because he was the airport. It's a one love vibe. So I don't really expect nothing different in the movie. I would like it, but realistically, it's just like, you know.
And that's but you saw me as no, you saw me I show that them. You see the fullness come to play now. Because I tell them say, all right. I agree with two of them. That is a scene, but me one step further more and take it. We know say tough gang done have them a show tough gang to be only one love, as done mentioned long time. We know that for years, right? We know that for years. So when time you even think about a Bob Marley movie and you still see some bingy a wall, you still see black power a push forward, you still see Rastafari message a push forward. Well, we did I expect. We expect the thing for come cross, even more than when enough ones did that. The one them could have go full one love, one out. Let's get together and feel all right business. And not show no farmer blackness in the thing same way, and no farmer African redemption, and no farmer Bingy Man son, and no farmer Martin plan, and people are gonna complain even more. But that is why I say I don't see the commercialization of Bob Marley long time. That is not new. That not new. That done about long time. So when we come see a movie, we come include other things where we never ever expect, because there's one love vibes I expect to see and just see the pandemic American tour or European scene and do the thing. But you still come see even way more than that, and the presence and the glorification of African redemption, which is way more than a commercialized one love. So that me I say
I just want to say though, I think that the issue is that people have, right, and I'm not defending the criticism you keep speaking about, but I think that the fact is that the children did the movie. I think that's the source of people's issue in regards to, like, it's not expecting a blood. It's not a blood and fire movie. I don't think people are looking for, you know. But I just think that like the previous stuff were like other productions, and I understand, you know, people who fund have a word in it, but I guess the way it was presented, and Ziggy Marley was even in the front of the movie, which was, that's a different conversation, but he was in the front of the movie. So I guess people's perception of figuring like, you know, you would more push certain stuff, you know, not saying that it wasn't there. And that part, like, I'm not talking about no Bingy stuff and all that, because that was there and that's a good imagery. But in regards to a deeper dive, not a 30 minutes, not a 20 minutes, not a 10 minutes, but just more context. And I think too, I understand from a teaching aspect what's needed for people to understand stuff. And I think that's what you need to understand. I think that the fact that you see a flash and you have context, you're able to process what's going on. But if a lot of people are saying, right, they did not know who the guy on the horse was, I think it's a problem. It defeats the purpose. So even though I have my information that encourages my perception, you have to understand your understanding of what's going on. You process stuff better than the other person. So you say, you know, that's more, you know, the history, you know, that's Selassie. But then the next person saying, who's the guy on the horse? So is the hold on, is the message hitting as hard than if you don't understand who the guy on the horse is?
It's still a slap, man. Because I follow the day. I follow the day fire. When time me I tell you, me I tell you because me a pre-brother fire. Me see, me's a man, members, all right. Me's a neuro marketing expert. The man can't tell me nothing about neuro marketing fire. Me's a neuro marketing expert. And me see where the whole thing do for people brain fire. The fact that there is no movie out here that can show me which one movie that them even say in the last 10 years. Where I showed African liberation and redemption in a history, which movie come full for. That's what I'm telling you, said these things are so powerful that we don't understand how our neurons fire to them and connect to them thing fire and automatically make we move from point A, which is where we're at currently with this thing, set the foundation from point A and do our individual works to make the thing can build up to a collective work. That is an
far
individual
right.
work that is done to
Far
a
right.
proper level.
I'm
And now
hearing.
we are talking about how can we capitalize off of this now as a people to say, all right, we are gonna build. See, I come and get the story to the full extent. Me I go get the finances up and have a network we can build to a store where people love Boya. How much people we are criticized doing that?
Far right. I hear what you're saying, right? But what I'm saying is that the part is that, right? And I hear exactly what you're saying. I want you to hear what I'm saying clearly. Is that the message would lick more if it had more context and it would be stronger and reach more people and push more people to think that you're saying. You can't be pushed to do something if you don't know what's going on.
I never know TV interview them. I go push people fire. That's what me I try to show there. That's what me I tell them fire. I
Because
never know.
because it
I
got
never know.
context. Because it got
Oh,
context to it.
no, because that is the I works and that is the mission where they are carrying out. That's what me I show them. The
No,
Lions
I
Vice
understand
Network.
that, right?
I go carry out the works from the grassroots level fire. That is what we are looking for. It's almost like we are looking for. We are looking
No,
for. Me I tell you fire. You can't expect a politician to do what a politician don't do. I'm telling
I
you that
understand that.
Hollywood, we can't expect Hollywood to do no more
No,
than that. That is Hollywood fire, and Hollywood still let you the gate and come make some youth have a Rastafari because them can't go round it. And that is what I show them.
but this,
That is the
but
biggest picture out here, fire.
I
Them can't go
understand that
round
far
it.
right. I understand that far right, right? But I just want you because you have a
Your boss
biased view,
fire.
and I just want
It's
you to
not me have the
understand.
bias view, or the item have the bias view. Me I
Hold
see
on,
from
hold
the
on,
Most of the
general
hold
item,
on,
perspective,
most of the
fire.
item,
hold
I
on,
come positive with my thing, you
hold
know.
on, hold on.
My
No,
thing,
I
No,
just want to say,
you're not
no,
reasoning, see me.
I just wanted to say that like what you're saying would lick harder if it had context. That's all I'm saying.
yes.
What you're saying, exactly what you're saying, right? Understanding the human mind and understanding people as a former educator.
And I'm speaking from the perspective of a storyteller myself, you
No,
know.
same thing, for no serious
and
thing,
and
because
and and,
what you're saying is,
and the narrative points. That's why you hear me now just criticize it from just
and I
a,
want to I
a
want to repeat what.
general perspective. I have a specific thing that would have made those beats because there were some powerful beats in the movie that didn't connect as well as they could have.
That's the
And
thing.
there
Because
been
far right,
when the man draw for war, you know, if we did know said that was a speech of His Majesty and him draw for him father son at the time when he get shot and he was at his lowest, that would have connect, you know what I mean, even more when the man a get him locks wig wash, you know, the sink. You know what I mean?
no, sir, I think that's the term. That's the term
That
we
did
look
kind
at.
of take me out still. The clean shave thing did kind of take me out. Me not gonna lie on the wig
It's the connect.
sometimes.
It's the
But
connect.
but
That's
but
the
the
thing.
acting, the virgin acting was powerful. But
No,
if
top
we did
acting.
have that context, them little points where they kept coming back to that father figure, because they kept going, that was a narrative anchor for the story. So if they did have that, and all I wanted was even some archival footage, a little 2 minute scene. Who is that? That's Haile Selassie the first. Well, you know, me never, you know, he's a father to the fatherless. Something,
And
something, something, and you establish the young Bob really making that connection so that when the man come late upon the horse now, and when the man, and you could even have a scene where he's in the studio and the war speech come on and him a look on TV and him see this, you know what I mean? So that when him draw for that at his moment, you understand why him a draw for that song there and how it connect with the people. You know
and I
what I mean?
want to.
That's one of the most powerful moments to I in Bob Marley old Chad, you know, when the man them try kill the man and the man come with that speech at this concert. You know what I mean?
And I
So
want to.
I keep saying,
I just want to touch on one thing, right, as an example in regards to that. And it's just one more question I want to ask about the movie, but in regards to that connection, far right, in regards to cinematic context, um, that movie, I'm not sure if you saw it. Elvis did a great job with that, like explaining, right, briefly, right, but they did a great job of explaining how who these figures were, and how they shape and contributed to Elvis's life. They didn't just show the figure. And that's more impactful, as you said, in regards to that inspiration. People need more context to be inspired, because remember, people, they're going to watch the movie. A man, not really, you got to get the fullness in regards to look up. You don't even know where to start to look up. And that's the part in regards to that. And it's just that. But another thing I wanted to ask with the movie was, hold on, I had a note.
and again, let's big up Ronaldo Marcos Green, the director. You know, it's a very tightly cut movie. And as I said, it has a lot of rewatchability. You know, I saw it twice, and trust me, the movie it gets better the second time. I'm just holding firm because I'm expecting more to come from this, and we want put some pressure upon them if we go to the root, some positive pressure. But I'm on the side of positive over negative. If I never liked the movie, it would be a 4.5 or Tarchi.
Hold on. There's one more thing I want to touch on. Is
Sorry.
this one more thing I want to touch on was Sheldon Shepherd as Neville Garrett.
Yes, excellent.
Obviously, top tier actor, right?
Jamaica greatest.
No, big time. There's a thing I just want to add to people watching in regards to Neville Garrett that the movie didn't touch on is that this Bridget here played a key
Yes.
role in the Pan-African perspective of Bob Marley. And one can argue without Neville Garrett, you would never have that survival album on the Heights because he's the one that introduced them to particular literature during that time while in London and after, and not only, I know they present him he's a brilliant person as an artist, but also as an intellectual. And he played a great role in regards to the, more that, I don't want to say that militancy, but that Pan-African understanding of the Gong. All right. So definitely check him out. Neville Garrett. He passed recently. How long ago he passed?
November.
Yeah, he was an advisor on the set too. Yeah.
So just definitely, I just want to throw that in regards to Neville Garrett.
Big up Sheldon Shepherd. He's a star. You know what I mean?
Big time, man.
His presence, you could see, on the screen how he delivered the content. The brethren that I know, and really feel good to see him on the big screen and representing himself. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't Sheldon Shepherd. It was. Him play the role, and I think he's one of Jamaica's shining star rising.
Yeah, I will tell you. You see, Sheppy them and them youth there. That's what I say. You see these things, these are things them we have emphasize. That's why I make sure them say my mind I come from. See, Sheldon Shepherd, them and them youth there like some of Jamaica greatest talented youth. And then you see have a next talented youth where this movie just can bring to the forefront now where I feel like Jamaica supposed to know long time, Hector Lewis. And you see the forward movements where them youth here get, them youth can sing, them youth have so much different instrument, them have the dramatization towards venturing out to a movie. You see the talent where them pool of youth have. You have Savannah where a songbird and them thing there. And you have Naomi Cowan with the nice sweet voice that I call in this Tommy Cowan them daughter there. You see them youth and them talent where every all of them who will come get an imagery in this thing to and you see them youth you see them pool of youth where the man them draw for out of Jamaican core where have so much talent in Jamaica. But them think that we fair highlight even more to in a fire because it's not a normal thing. You see Sheldon Shepherd and them youth there. The representation where them youth they do and the originality where them youth they come with, bring them youth out of the Jamaican core and make sure so them youth they can have active roles in these type of movie. That is something massive.
Yeah, man, big. That's big for the Jamaican culture. And the virgin that play Kumi, was that Kumi? Was he related to Mortimer Planner? Does anyone know?
No, not sure. I was trying to figure that out myself.
I was wondering if the man related. But I like that virgin delivery.
You carry the spirit, man.
And we have to big up Elder Muta as the gate man.
Big time.
Muta opened the gate with skill and professional conduct, and as an original actor from Sankofa. You know what I mean? Big up Muta, the elder, So and that's why I did feel Wooly joy watching to see the different faces that were in the film. The virgin who played Lee Scratch, you know what I mean?
Everaldo.
The virgin where Marisa with too, and power scene in the movie are one of the best scenes in the movie. And it get a big laugh, it get big forward in both screenings that I saw. That get the biggest forward, when they come back and they see Scratch on the table and go on, with the thing. So I mean, there were some definite some great moments in the film.
That's why I feel like say to me personally, all of these things them were there them address. That's why I'm tell you say it's perspective, because to me the things them were there them address that is supposed to would encourage the family. No, go do a series now and come give me the stages them. give me the stages them out of this thing, a series like a Godfather, Harlem, and them different type of series that we can, we really build up and give some full our limited edition series and anything that is what I encourage them for go do. But me now overstand said this role, this movie or this film, it do it can do fire, it do it can do. Me I tell you that it do it can do. And I want thing now where people have to just follow up and make this thing and make the gang presence and Rastafari presence now be seen in details. Because 1 hour under 2 hour can't put so much thing. Me I tell you them that can't put so much thing.
I'm sure a whole heap of things get cut left on the editing floor, even the scenes that I'm talking about, and that's why I have to come with the critique, because maybe somebody was fighting to get that Haile Selassie archival footage on Paramount. So we don't need that. We got what we want. You know what I mean? So the people have to voice their opinion. This is part of the process when you put out a creative work. We can't just give them the positive, because we have to sharpen the thing, and everyone's gonna have a different critique, and the next person who come along will listen, and prayerfully they will take and continue to raise the bar.
No, I will say this though, Fire. I will say this. I've been listening to what y'all saying, and I gotta jump back to the beginning, right? We got to do better with highlighting certain people that contribute to the thing, yeah.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? On this level, because you dropped the ball on that one, yeah. It is what it is. I go back to Coxon, My Engineer, Lee Scratch Perry, Family Man, Joe Higgs. It's nothing to add another 20 seconds to kind of highlight these bridges. That's great icons to the culture and great contributors to Bob Marley life. Fire. So I hear what everybody's saying about an hour, 2 hours, cutting, movie, this and that. Should have did a better job.
Everybody has said it, man. And me alone I said that, man.
So everybody
has said me alone I said that, man.
No,
nobody else. I mean, alone I
saying that. You the only one saying it here, but I heard it other places, right? And the thing is, this is the thing, right? We need to do a better job as a culture of highlight. I don't want to hear nothing about no one man story, this and that, because that's like I'm interviewing a person, a decent interview, right? They mention all the people that contribute, like food, Fire. It's seasoning, it's different ingredients. We can't leave out these. These are main ingredients. These not like no law. There's not like no teaspoon or nothing, Fire. These are like tablespoons, cups that went into the gong that created this great figure that we have, and we have to acknowledge them. And they dropped the ball with it. And those moving forward need to acknowledge, because what other area person gonna hear about the great Joe Higgs that work with Jimmy Cliff, spending there teaching people about harmony and all these things. The great Coxon died. The great Coxon died that people still playing Studio One rhythms to this day, getting hit songs. And you gotta present this man like some crazy deranged person. No, Fire. That's why these things have to be acknowledged. And I hear what you're saying, right? But these things have to be acknowledged, because at this point you're distorting history.
Acknowledge, Fire, but not the focus. So that me keep on a show.
No, it's not the focus. It's not the focus.
No, it become the focus now, because here we are though. We can't overstand say the two of the item writers so have a different intellectual capacity, and other chosen few have certain intellectual capacity. I tell me say, yeah, they might know the history and say, boy, the ball drop on them particular thing. I mean, that again, I'm not portray this thing as no pie in the sky thing. I don't show that them say I agree with all of them different things. Then I will not all of them still, because I show that say once a man come in a movie as a constant character, him role done a show already. But what may I say is all of these things were left out. Yeah, that's a personal thing. That's what me keep on show that.
It's not
all
a
of this
thing.
Hold on. You can say you are that way you are say from your perspective. Me I hear a next man I say it, he must say something from film perspective too. And the same thing where the things them where you left out as me I mentioned. Remember, you know, as a culture, what we are gonna do for the next 50 years, we are gonna always find these things will come out, and we are gonna say, all right, this not match the criteria, that not match the criteria. What is the work where I and I do as a people, where we are focused on, and then when these things come out now, we can say, okay, these not meet the criteria of what we are trying to set right here, so. And where we are the right here, so collectively, this don't meet the criteria, so that is when now we can start not the thing now fire. Yeah, ones and ones are working a silo. We get that. But where's the work that is being done from a collective aspect where we are criticized our own work from a collective aspect? So when these people drop the ball, we can say, no. See, two good example where we are dealing with right now. See, our meditation and where we get upon right now. Me nah knock it. Don't get me wrong, fire. If you know me 5 years ago or how much years ago, you know, say, I the same way mother attack it or there them attack it. But what me I say is not that way I said different. Why I get it more understanding, you know, a reason where a reason. Some more people know this too, you know. Say that anytime we attack right, I say, you know, we can disagree and we have a safe space to disagree and reason out things to see me. So that's the next part of more people. Side note, more people overstand. When we are we reason and show different perspective to different things, and then we level up and match up to the bigger picture where we are looking from afar, where we say forward never, backward never, and that's the way we deal it. So I show them from a general standpoint how me see the thing, because if me I think about it personally, there's so much different things we could have highlighted. Yeah, we never highlighted from a personal standpoint, but me understand how the world work. I understand say my subjective perspective can overthrow that objective standpoint of what I think. Yeah, again, when I look for the savior from the Tough Gang movie for come say blackness and our liberation over it. So to be the all-in-one salve. What we say is if it have some blackness we highlight, it have some Rastafari mission we highlight, that go out with gang thing, a tough gang thing, and the Marley family push the thing for them direction and for them perspective, yes. But when the whole culture fire, if you look on YouTube right now and see, man, the whole reviews them where everybody has say and where you still gonna meds the whole thing. As a people, we know we have a criticism culture, but all our culture do is criticize and we don't think about no forward progress. So me I say when the conversation have a steer about forward progress that can be taken, and this is just one stepping stone of what would in our forward progress. That's how my mind is.
Now, far, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see how our critique's not dealing with forward progress, because we're talking about. I hear what you're saying about other people, because I didn't watch a lot of stuff, but I did see some stuff, right? And the stuff they
you have to go on.
Well, hold on, no. The things they were critiquing was like here, accent. Why is one no Jamaican person? We're talking about the responsibility of making sure we highlight the trailblazers and our heroes. So I don't see how that's not a forward-thinking critique. So people won't hear it say that is true, though. We have to make sure we can't just focus on, for instance, now if I do a story about Kwasi, I have to highlight those who played an integral role in this man to get the fullness of the story. And we gave honor to Ziggy Marley, saying taking responsibility to.
Hold on there. If you're gonna do my story, pay for the archival footage of His Majesty. Don't.
No, we're not gonna go around the thing. We're not gonna go around the
thing.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying in regards to, like, I hear what you're saying in regards to or maybe you could elaborate it more in regards to that. I don't think our conversation was in the realm of what I heard. I didn't watch a lot of stuff. I watched a couple, like not in entirety, but what the main criticisms I've heard is I didn't hear anyone talk about historical context. I just hear people talking about here, accent, Jamaican actors. That's pretty much what I heard. I don't know if it's more they're talking about, but that's the basis of the critique that I hear. Jamaican actors here and accent. That's all I hear.
And let's also say that a lot of people critiquing the movie have not seen the film.
Have not seen the film, but don't understand any history. They can't.
Them a burn it out as them just
a view thing, a hype thing, a view thing. You know.
Yeah,
I guess that's the thing that is. But
so those people, they have formed their opinion. I think the constructive thing, as Atarchi says, now let's challenge the people who saw the film, who have that critique to say, you don't like a studio production, this is Paramount. Don't go in there naive and think that you're going to get the blackest liberation, redemption, struggle, saga funded by Paramount. That don't make sense.
No. I don't think.
If you have that critique about the film, you don't like the film, let us look, because one thing I don't love are people who just run their mouth or just type. You know what I mean? Take some positive action now. Support some independent film. Look how much independent filmmakers are trying to tell stories that don't get the support. You have to put your money where your mouth is. So I think that's the constructive thing that we can lead the people. If you feel so moved to call Ziggy a sellout, because we never got there so. What are you doing, with your dollar to fund
Why they're not doing nothing? I don't even know why we acknowledging these people here, because they're not doing
No,
nothing.
but I
No,
just
you
want
can't say that. No, you have to acknowledge it. See, you
yeah, because
see,
yeah,
this is
we
I'm
have
have
to
to
just messing
acknowledge
with
it.
you.
burn
Yeah.
the
Man. I'm
fire
just
there. We
messing
have
with
to
you.
burn the
Man.
fire there because
We just messing with
you
you.
know I don't like when people have critique and they're not doing anything to do an alternative. Anytime I critique something, because remember, I'm trying to build the Lion Voice, which is a Rastafari media production house, you know what I mean, to create Rastafari centric context. So when I come, and let me say that to be transparent, so when I come and give my critique, it's something that I'm actively working on, creating a platform where we can tell the authentic story without having to worry about, a third party or these things. So these are things that we're actively working on. I don't like when people just run their mouth and don't have nothing to contribute and don't know what it takes to get a film of this nature. If you get a studio to spend $70 million, you know what I mean? Neville Garrett maybe had to fight to get the little Haile Selassie white book where Baba read on the bus in the movie. Somebody probably had to fight for I'll get that in the movie. Somebody probably had to fight for get certain little things in the movie to raise the consciousness. There was a lot of people working, and I don't want disrespect that work. The reason that they can't get the 7 from me and above is because again the narrative things, you know what I mean? And that's just an encouragement to my brothers because all of us claim Bob, you know what I mean? And that's why we're so passionate. Even though Bob are them father and the family blood, the whole world claim Bob, you know what I mean? And Bob was the biggest messenger that Rastafari produced. So this is very personal to I and I because there was a time I used to bun Bob Marley, as a Naya Bingy man. I'm gonna be honest, because when we start shut up and we see certain liberty and certain thing and even learn that Bob eat fish and them thing that we, you know what I mean? Them thing they used to disturb me because we used to think Bob was the ultimate Rastafari brethren. And then as you mature and you see how livicated Bob was to the message and the mission, you have to dash away that thought and you have to reevaluate how you see Bob. Because more time when you come in at the fire, you gravitate to Peter and even Bunny, you know what I mean? And you would have dash a fire upon Bob. But when you see how Bob put his life on the line, as I said, the time of the movie was the Red Terror in Ethiopia. People are dead. You know what I mean? Mengistu kill people who are profess his majesty. And Baba go around Europe and all these places with 20 foot tall. It give you a respect for the man who really do this. So it's very personal to I and I, you know what I mean, as Rastafari.
Far this is where I talk to you, right? I want to hear what you have to say. Far, what did you think about that comment this Bregman made when he said, all right, let me remember the scene. He was arguing with Rita, right? Then he said something about Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer. What do you think about that comment?
Remember, say if you remember good when me just start reasoning, that was one of the things them when I highlight, say. Whenever
No,
like
more,
that,
I heard you, but no more.
because all right. So what y'all go on? See, there them I talk about certain things with them not like. That's one of the main thing them where I never like still because full of the day, Bob Marley have a methodology of doing his music and carrying out his works of Rastafari. Peter Tosh have his way of doing that, which is more core revolutionary and a fight from a fair eco-friendly society upon the levels with the whole marijuana upon the levels. And Bunny Wailer now is a man where I deal with the black heart man same way who I go through and I do the film thing, but the way how him so you see it's a whole frenzy of a one set of man being diplomatic and one set of man being core revolutionary, So we can't mistake it like it's separate missions. But the fact said that is one of the things them were highlighted without not expounding. So I'm tell them say yes, I see that. I see that and I agree with that. But what may I say is when the reason why I show you say I personally there's things where I don't like. But you say me as a youth where always I see the bigger picture. That was one of the main things why I never like because anybody know I know say Peter Tasha one I ancient them to see me we will love on certain levels and Jabby bless Jabby's soul forever because Black Heart Man is one of the things that will change in life. So we don't want to present like a man lazy and a man does not want to do the work. So may I say today I say yes, just like how as me I show there, I say Martin Luther King, that's an example. Because I think about the movie, I start thinking about Martin Luther King as a random example, right? Before, when I talk about gang there, so when I used to try and I seal up the work, me used to criticize them man is straightforward. And I said it's non-violent thing, it don't make no sense. But you know what I overstand with this mission? as they said the word, they mentioned the word crumbs. You see this bits and pieces thing in this mission. It's not a 1-day mission or a 2-day mission, So you see these bits and pieces. Yeah, we can highlight these things as I tell you, but I choose to focus on the impact, the cause and effect what me see. So it's just scenes like them they know, even though I don't agree with certain scenes like them there. I mean, there's certain different things I mean I agree with. I still would even mention on a public forum neither. But me I show that me see the world in a bits and pieces and see the bigger picture of the world and don't see these things as no water down as the man call. It's not just a water down thing. It's a concept of understanding how certain worlds work. Certain world, we're not gonna look for a revolution come out in Hollywood. Hollywood is an entity. Hollywood, all of them can't fulfill that. So you see, anytime the Hollywood coming or nothing, you have to overstand so it have a Hollywood twist to the plot. So we don't overstand that. So you see, from me overstand that, I start focus on bits and pieces as they say to build up this movement, because everything I gotta build up this movement. You have to have somebody who shot some film to, and I make so at least some of the content them start come forward, and they are gonna have a man who can write some book and make some youth where I read, and they are gonna have a man who master in a different field who can bring this movement to fruition. But everything now gonna be 100% strong, or now gonna be 100% weak. But me I try to show you so when we think about the grand scheme of this thing, even with scenes like that, which I totally don't love the style. But me I say I thought me want to focus on what type of role this play in regards to consciousness, and then we talk about some of the works and we Lion Vice Network and I never knew TV and the mission, them grassroots mission there where I do. That's why I say I love them thing them I love. Me as a youth I love. I see the gutter, and see everything will go on in the gutter in the fire, and see where in the corporate world, see in the diplomatic world, Hollywood, where them present on a screen. I'm overstand say every single thing towards this mission count. And that way have to overstand. Say once this count towards the mission, that way we fear. Say, but me never like the scene if I answer the question what I say.
Also, to be fair, Rita did push back on the sound because I watched it the second time because I didn't like that the first time either. And when he said that, and I think the film was trying to imply, because you also see Baba drink champagne in the party, they were trying to apply. He did start kind of stray from him roots that time there. And he might not have been talking out from a truth, and she correct him and say, you can't say that, Baba, or whatever she said. But because they didn't make that clear, because they didn't establish Bob, Bunny, and Peter, and again, this goes to the narrative structure of the film, you if you didn't know, you would miss that and think that what Bob was saying was the gospel, because, he's the main character and he's saying it emphatically, so you would think that is really how it go. But I think, to be fair, that it was implied that this is the period of his life where, he was kind of going off track, and Rita tried to bring him in again. You know what I mean?
The reason I brought it up, right? Because I feel that particular scene, this has nothing to do with all this other stuff in regards to the movie and the role and the pushing of a particular story. I didn't understand why I was in there far right. You get what I'm saying? Like, I heard the part where Rita pushing back, but I don't understand, like, the only time that I think their names were actually mentioned in the movie was mentioned in that context.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? And as you stated earlier, because remember the average mind, man, no disrespect, but it's like the movie's busy, there's a lot going on. The only time you hear their name is in that context. And I feel like I just didn't understand. That's why I asked the question, like,
it wasn't injustice. Why, it wasn't
why was that in there out of all things, and that's a lie. But just so people know, you mentioned it earlier, Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer, icons, legendary, hardworking people, great people. But those are the things I think people need to kind of, historically now that could create a problem, because if you have all these people watching it now, it kind of shot at them,
You see something what we really want to mention, expound Pantina, because I feel like we talk about this a whole heap of time. A man will say, you see, think about the movie, since it is actually a person. I would all know about intellectual property until all corporation is a person, right? If you think about the movie as a person, from the way how them set a corporation, and think about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey speak out against Haile Selassie and everyone, and you have still have man to this day carry that to them art and say Marcus Garvey. Oh no, not with Marcus Garvey. That's so that is a backward type of thinking. So for this same movie that me I show enough of the item said Marcus Garvey I gotta do things as a human being where I like and but me still say Marcus Garvey has a full era, you know. But in the movie, man I go say something, man I go do something, or anybody people I go do some put some type of scene or mix this out and do and man, me not like that. Me not like that. Me not like the fact say I studio one with it, studio one have to represent. Yeah, where I say yeah, we not like that. You see me I say gang. The reference to Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer, not for the so and so in them movie. Yeah, we not like that. We not go around that. We not like that. But me I show that I say to me pre it in regards to the personification of this thing. A man I go have some style I not like, but I'm a virgin same way. I go have two style I not like. I not like when him do this, but me I think
Now
about bigger
we
picture
understand that,
on.
and I understand the bigger picture, but it disrupts the bigger picture because just like you mentioned earlier, you said people heard the sound that Marcus Garvey had an issue with Selassie, and people carry it to this day because his story has been distorted because someone's been responsible about something. So that kind of ties into what we've been saying in regards to when you have not even say irresponsible, but when things aren't done properly, it creates a problem. You just put out a sound to millions of people. I don't know how much people watch the movie about. That's why I had a big issue with this thing. It's just like I just didn't understand when I saw it. It kind of
So may I ask you a question?
Yeah,
The
go
issue
ahead.
the issue where you see with that, with that now, in regards to the context of looking at it, looking at the movie from the impact stand, opportunity casting where the movie would have create in regards to positive and negative, then the opportunity cost is still a flow in the positive direction.
I understand that, but it distorts history for Bunny Will and Peter Tosh.
No, that can't distort. That one movie can't distort history for Bunny
I
Wailer and
will
Peter
say
Tosh.
on a platform that big, the first time this is coming to the public, they should have been more responsible.
Hold on, Kwasi, hold on.
Bunny and Peter legacy.
Farah, you said earlier that this is true, and I hear it all the time. You know, we hear it all the time, right? People have an issue this Marcus Garvey, Haile Selassie thing, right? Because certain things they don't understand the full context of it, right? But they heard something, and this has gone out through history for decades now. And that's why it really struck me out of all things in regards to, yes, I had an issue with Coxum and Dead because I'm a history geek. I'm a reggae nerd for everyone that wants to know. If I'm a reggae fanatic, that's my thing, right? But this one here now is just like, why would you do this? You get what I'm saying? And I hear what you're saying. It doesn't take away from the guns.
But we don't say we not like that, No, so we don't
understand.
We not like that,
No, but we never said that you like it. I'm just saying in regards to that's why I guess one. I just want to bring that up and clarify, like I told people earlier, and I just want to say that's one of the reasons that this conversation is needed from a duality perspective, in a sense where we're not just praising the movie, but we have to give that critique so people understand certain things.
And remember that the virgin that played Peter Tosh said they cut his scenes out, so there was a lot more movie shot. So they probably had more.
I think it was maybe legal issues too, fight in regards to estates and rights and all that little vibe,
For a docudrama, you can use people because they didn't. I can guarantee they didn't go to the estate of Bonnie and Peter to get their name mentioned. The First Amendment allows you to utilize people, or else none of these movies could get made because you'd have to get so many releases and things. So you're allowed to have limited use, and as long as you're not, slandering the person. And there's an argument that can be maybe made from the Coxon estate. We'll see how that goes in terms of his legacy. But then again, people also say that he was a rough person, so it wasn't way off the market. Just that was not true in terms of that's not how his interaction with the Whalers went. You know what I mean? But
I think I mentioned it earlier with Coxon. Just wait till Farah come back. As I told you, Brother Baines from Malcolm X was a fusion of characters, and Duke Reed obviously is known for firing shots and being a very, very rough person to do.
Yes.
And yes, Coxon used to do his thing. So I don't know if they were trying to fuse and just show that Jamaican producer.
Yes.
So if they were doing that, they should never use Coxon's name. It should have just been a random dude. But the fact that you're using Coxon's name, I think it should be.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair critique because he's a legend in his own right.
Beyond a legend fight, we need a stronger word than
when
that.
When we talk of being responsible with our legends in terms of the pillars of the music, if you're going to show that side, and you feel that's important to the narrative you're trying to tell, you have to balance it. And this is where the director, maybe not having that full depth of understanding of what these people mean to us as Jamaican people, chose to cut it out to keep a tight cut of the film. You're cutting out some essential things in terms of having that balance and respecting the legacy of these giants in our culture, and this is why, again, this is just the first foray. We have to create more stories. We have to encourage. I saw Tough Gang Studios, so I don't agree with people that say this is going to be a one and done.
I did pre that at the beginning of Tough Gang Studios,
You know what I mean? Hollywood work off of dollars, people.
And they see the dollars.
Now that this movie has made money, I can guarantee there will be more Bob Marley stories that hit the big screen. We don't know when. And this is why you hear I say, we pray that Stephen and Damien, where we know, push the Haile Selassie legacy of their father. We hope that they, partner with some, production studio to put forward a more militant, that side of them father that tells their story from their perspective. This is Ziggy tribute to his parents, and we have to remember that too. Ziggy I give a tribute to his parents. That's why enough things get leave out, because it wasn't relevant to the story that the man wanted to tell. And who is going to tell the eldest son saying can't tell the story where he want to tell? The man tell the story where he want to tell.
It really is his story, man, because one key point, obviously he was at the beginning of the movie with the message, but the scene there where the gang was asking, are the kids okay? But then he asked, is Ziggy okay specifically, No, it kind of highlight, kind of show that, that thing.
I know what you said. He never actually.
Then Stephen Marley in the song recently, also he said he was the favorite son. I don't know. But anyway, check this. The gang story can easily be a crazy binge Netflix series, because it's just so much components to it. And it's like an epic with the struggle and the overcoming and that whole energy, So hopefully that is moving forward.
No, you talk my language fire. That me I tell you, say that more I hear, that more I hear. Cause I say it for going fire, a far whatever, because of that.
The Africa trip is a whole movie. The Gambia, when he went to Ethiopia. Enough people don't know that Bob Marley go Ethiopia, go Shashamani. They just know the Zimbabwe part of the chart. They don't know, say, him go different countries too. You know what I mean? That whole Africa is a movie by itself.
Hold on. Farai, the Bridget that wrote the Marcus Garvey book, Black Hat Collins or something?
Yeah.
He have a book about the Whalers, but
Robert
early.
Collins.
Yeah. He have a great book, Fire. That's a Netflix series by itself.
The Whalers is a whole how they have to get their music played on the radio.
Because
the
there's
whole intersection with the music and badness. It's a whole story that's up.
When his mother left, when he was living with Rita, then he left. He didn't leave in regards to separate, but he went to the country because he got some land to till the soil. I think that's the first time he injured that foot. And that's the next thing too, Fight. That foot been injured about 3 times before the football thing. Like some serious injuries, because one time he had the machete near and almost severed his foot. But that struggle there is an inspirational story too, because the gang been through it, yeah. The gang been through it, yeah. The gang been through it. You get what I'm saying? And I just think that I know we had our critiques and this and that, but more than anything, this story don't really show. It show a resilience still, but don't show the magnitude of his resilience because they deal with that short period of time. But the gang, more than anything from his story, and we spoke about this far, is the resilience of the man.
Yeah, Tough Gang, enough man overstand. Tough Gang is a man where even the man that left the music and go work in a Delaware same way, regardless of what they see. Even to musicians and them thing the way I come up to through this thing, and enough time to man enough musician know say the thing now flow financially, but enough man have this ego where I say, boy, them no want to go work on 9 to 5 and certain things because I portray them as not being creative enough, or them have to stoop to a system. Or you end up get towards that if you have youth to feed and if you have certain application to meet, you have studio session where you have to go make sure say you want to take on, you have to go leave from certain environment and make it happen in a certain different way. So even them thing there from Tough Gang have some lessons where it's not enough. To me, Tough Gang, the existence of Tough Gang is not the way The movie, no matter how good the movie did want be, or how much details there they must have missed out to if it didn't end the movie, it still would have the same atmosphere on it because I tell that is Bob Marley. Bob Marley is one of the most complex figures in history. In history, I can tell that just the way the impact where Bob Marley have, the things that Bob Marley do, the amount of people where Bob Marley reach across this earth, it no matter how the story want be told. I'm telling you, if you have that details, then you have a next set of people now who would rise up and say Bob Marley did not represent that, and the debate would still be ongoing. Just how me meditate tough gang from this whole thing, you know.
And I want to touch on one more thing in regards to the resilience is that people can't really deal with giving their all and things not working out. He's the greatest example of that because they had the Will and Souls record label. He thought he was going to get a bus at Coxon. He thought he was going to get a bus at Lee Scratch Perry. He thought he was going to get a bus with the Asian Brigadier, not Beverly's. I forgot the other one. But like he was up Danny Sims, the next Brigadier that sing I Can See Clearly. He's writing all the songs from him when he was at JAD Records. Man, what's the Brigadier, man? The Black Brigadier. He was writing all the songs with at the time. Anyway, he was always like at the finish line, the finish line kept moving, and he kept moving with it.
Mm-hmm.
I just did an interview with Danny Dreadlocks, legendary selector. He said Bob Marley used to bring him pre-release dub plates, back in the day, they used to call the dub plate the pre-release music, and Bob used to come up in the dance. He said Bob would come in the dance, with he said Bob would come in the dance with him security, and they would stand up and he would play the music in the dance hall. So there's a whole side of Bob, even with dance hall, that people don't know that side of Bob. Saying he used to go to dance and make sure the music will get played, press the play at them from Lee Scratch Perry and test them out in a dance, and people don't know that side of Bob, you know what I mean? So these are all sections that could really be highlighted as we're saying. This is just a small fraction, and people were expecting to see everything in a one movie. I don't know what to tell those people. You know what I mean? It's impossible. And let me say this to the creatives: you're never gonna please everyone. There's gonna be people that don't like what you put out. So just create and do what you have to. When you work with a big studio, you're gonna have to make certain compromises. You don't want to go that route that you're gonna have to do independent. And for all of the people who have burned out the studio and sell out, remember His Majesty, when he created Ethiopia Airline, had to partner with Boeing Airline. Whole heap of people in the country call him a sellout because him a partner. He had to bring in white pilots at first that were flying the first Ethiopia Airline flights, and he put in the contract that they had to train Ethiopian pilots. Whole heap of people call him a sellout because the starting he had to partner with a bigger multinational company with don't deal with black people thing, but they were the ones that had the financing, that had the planes, that had the facility. And look today, Ethiopia Airlines is one of the number one airline globally. Ethiopia Airline, fully black staff, fully black pilots, fully black engineers, but in the start. And Haile Selassie is a great example because whole heap of time people call His Majesty a sellout because he partnered with the USA, in partner with Israel, in partner with Russia, in partner with India, in partner with Belgium, in partner with France for build school, for build infrastructure, for do these things that had to be done to modernize an ancient feudal kingdom into a modern nation state within one generation, which had never yet been done before in the history of planet Earth. So for do them thing that there are partnerships and things that man on the street, the Asian, and he got fight from the church. The church called him a sellout when he brought the first airplane into the country. They said that he was bringing in Satan machine because them see this flying machine where them never could imagine. He had to take a tax from the church. He took a tax from the nobles when he brought in the first schools for the youth them, and he wanted to educate girls. He had to go to the noble races himself and say, send your youth to the school, please, may I beg you. And get whole heap of liquor, you sell out the thing. So we have to be careful. Yeah. We have to know with history. We have to know that things have to start somewhere. Ziggy made a step, and again, I congratulate Ziggy with a great triumph and the family. This is a triumph in terms of getting it done. Now the burden is on the people. You don't like it, spend your money, put some pressure on and make them create something that is more to the
And even
liking.
beyond spending money too, we are talking about the consciousness of the people them too. But when you for overstand say, yes, it is consciousness of the people them have. There's two side. There's two side to your brain work. Your brain have to work in a positive sense, and then when it work on a general positive sense, it have a critical of certain things with a solution in mind, with a
Yes.
direction in mind. Because you see this direction thing, most people out here misguided, from a mental plane and on a physical plane, all of these things. Yes, when time we step out of our little misguided world for stop and criticize something and then gone back in our misguided world, I don't see that as nothing progressive. May I tell you that? Because you see, if we are criticize these things, we have to criticize these things with a aim and a direction in mind. Direction in mind, fire. We have to understand this direction thing is very important. As the black people in this world, all right, I'm gonna tell you this. You have white man who don't like one, but them sister them have to work on some projects together. Them go work on the projects. But you see, when time the people them cause black people, when time it come to works and certain things, if we're not into a person or we say we not deal with them and it's just almost automatically them become an enemy, especially if them disagree with we on a thing. Right now, enough man couldn't have the conversation. Most people couldn't have the conversation right so and disagree upon certain things without it have to be vile and without it have to be misguided and have so much different aggressive energy in the thing. But may I show you say, in the grand scheme of things, there's enough like a fubble double where I go on and a certain community out there where now mission the right way. I mean, actually said, me looking at what see this movie and don't see one of them things that in it, don't see the fubble double I go on tonight, that is a win for me. Black man and black woman on screen as main lead character, that is
Yes.
a win for me. So me as
Yes.
a man, I see them thing from broader scheme, and I see it as consciousness and the youth them mind. I'm think about the people them overall. I feel like the people them need. They
Dark
plead to the
skin,
people
dark
them.
skin black woman lead too. Dark skin black woman lead too.
I wanted to before we finish, unless somebody has another topic, I just want to say this about the critic thing. I think sometimes I'm not talking about constructive criticism, fight. I'm just talking about like blanket criticism. I think sometimes we comment on them too much and they're not doing anything. They just like
Yeah, but it's a
critics.
majority. It's a
You know what I'm
majority. So
saying?
you can't reason and a reason to kind of shape the people in mind. Because here me I overstand now. No, what me I make a finish fire. Just keep it that. No, me about finish real quick. Like so you see, you have certain people now. The way or the mindset stay about this movie, I don't think in this movie in particular. While we're gonna do the podcast, I have some topic where highlight to the direct demographic way. When I say I go catch the reasoning. I think for something like this now, where it's a movie, it's not like a documentary as they mentioned. It's not a documentary, it's a movie. The way your people think about it, we have to address everybody from a grand scheme, and we can't exclude it because if we do that, then we are going to this just like how they must see certain things and I said this start the reality, then we are going to start the reality and how people are think about things and how we can help shape people mind to do to our reasoning. So we could also something where somebody never see. And that in itself just change back the mind now to a thing, and a man even go watch back a thing and him start get even inspired by something or along that lines, So, but finish your thought. Yeah, that's so.
No, I was gonna say in regards to the Ziggy Marley. You remember before I was saying that, like I didn't watch a lot, but I watched about 3, not the whole thing, but in regards to reviews, and I did hear one person, it was a Jamaican person that was carrying on about Ziggy Marley, this and that, and I said it earlier, and I wanted to say again before we finish is that I don't know why people have an expectation of Bob Marley's children to act like Bob Marley. They grew up in a different generation. They grew up with a different experience. They're in a different place. They're in a different economic. They have a different social network, and they have a different vision in a different time. So I just think it's kind of silly in the sense that, like, Bob Marley had a certain vision, and he died when they were young. So it's not even like he was grooming them into that vision. So I think we just need to stop that argument. Now, if you have an issue with Ziggy Marley, yes, but stop expecting this man to be like move and execute and support Rastafari specifically like his father did, because this man's just in a different. I'm not defending. I just want to say like it's kind of a pointless argument. This man is not Bob Marley, and he didn't experience what Bob Marley to become who Bob Marley was or move the way Bob
Thank
Marley
you
did.
very much. That's all I was saying for you.
No,
Thank you very
That's good.
much.
the only thing I would say to brother Ziggy is when he's doing his
But
press tour and he's talking about his father's message, just slip in Rastafari in the thing. You know what I mean? Let the people do
Yeah,
because his father would have wanted that. You know what I mean? Just put Rastafari. Don't just tell us about the message of one love and peace, and because that just filter down into the it don't. Let's get specific because Bob Marley's version of peace and love was from a Rastafari worldview. It wasn't because if you talk to a hippie, their peace and love could involve some, as the brethren say, fubble double and all kind of thing. Bob Marley, One Love was a very specific worldview, a Rastafari worldview. I see somebody in the comments talk about he converted to Christianity, Rastafari is illusion and them thing there. Let me tell you them again, when a Rastafari person take on Orthodox Christianity. It's not the same as a regular Orthodox take up Orthodox Christianity. They don't dash away His Majesty. They are taking up Orthodox Christianity for the most part because His Majesty was the defender of the Orthodox Christian faith. And because His Majesty was Orthodox, they want to be Orthodox. And even the church used to try to trim the Rastafari brethren in the early days. They had to start because the man said, we not give up His Majesty. We're there with the item, but we still hail His Majesty because he's the head of the church from a ecclesiastical perspective. So a lot of Christians are used that for saying Dashwe Rastafari, but that the facts don't support that. His mother said that him always, before him pass, Haile Selassie I mom him. You know what I mean? So you have to just know that Rastafari, you cannot de-Rastafari Bob Marley. So me just ask brother Ziggy, may I ask Kingsley Benadir, may I ask the beautiful Lashana Lynch, as the item continue, come in know them I go watch I Never Knew TV, a big platform. As the item I deal with your press one, just put in Haile Selassie, Rastafari, put in that so that the people can follow the crumbs down the path. They can follow it to the source. You understand? Give the people something for come on, because the peace and love is too vague, too gray, too wide. And that was not Bob Marley message. The message, again, first line in the movie, Haile Selassie is the conquering line of the tribe of Judah, earth rightful ruler. Stay right there, so give thanks.
All right, we give thanks for everyone on the live. Give thanks for Kwasi. Give thanks for Fire Singway, our Tarchi, the Dread. If you get a chance, check out the movie. Take your family, take a friend, take your lady. If your lady, take your man, and enjoy it. And go there with an open mind. Hopefully, we didn't guide your perspective of the movie too much. Go there, check it out, hold the vibe. Listen to some Gong this week. If you get free time, make sure you check us out. I Never Knew Radio, WLOI.org. Check out the Jazz Mach Kwasi on the Lions Voice Network there on YouTube. Also, check out our Tarchi. Type in our Tarchi on YouTube to get the latest and greatest sounds from Far Eye. We give thanks.
Can I just say quickly that Artarchi, please line up yourself for an interview on the Lion Voice.
You're already up, man.
Yeah, man. And I just want to say thank you to all of the Lion Pride and Patron who came in and watched the stream same way. Big up Junior. I want to just big up the eye. Artarchi, what the item are doing to provide this platform for this kind of reason, because I don't think there's going to be any other review. I think this is going to be the most in-depth in terms of review that go into the consciousness and the theology behind the movie. I could be wrong, but this is the right platform, and I just want to thank the I Junior for making space for this. It's a big honor for a small beanie platform like mine for even partner with the I. For you know what I mean, be able to come and highlight these things and to give I and I a voice. So I just want to say gratitude. Please, people, go and subscribe to the Lion Voice Network on YouTube. We need some help around the Rastafari interviews. We have them on the platform, Unapologetic Rastafari platform. We're building a Rastafari independent media. We're not just on here to talk about what we want to see. We're building it one day at a time. So give thanks and blessing to the family.
That is the mission, and that is the mission. People really need to understand. Say the mission in itself continue. The consciousness for you. Make we beyond just a one movie. We're talking about a continuous consciousness where we need the people them for depend and keep it moving. No matter if say Ballad and Dread can they same way a reason, then who can reason. One time when if Ballad's Rasta one time, Ballad start fling stone and run the Rasta, we can hold reasoning, we can have different perspective as a people, and we can still move forward as a collective fire. That means that you a man trim a line up, and I deal with no farmer share means so we can't reason
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
whole certain meditation for you. So that is very important. And I think that I which part I really come from in a general sense. Make we get this thing together as a mission, not just criticize, but keep it moving and keep the ball rolling. Forward power fire as a people, a one network of fair build for Caribbean, in America, anywhere, one network of fair build and I just keep the thing moving, you know?
All right then.
Yes, sir.